Only 32% of European cities use local electric buses, and the EU calls it progress. When your clean energy dreams are made in China, it's like borrowing a sweater from your frenemy, cozy, but the strings are pulled by someone else.
Supreme Court rules against Santa tax, claims it protects tradition.
When comedy becomes the last refuge from chaos, it's like patching a sinking ship with laughter and hoping it floats.
EDF announces further delays for Hinkley Point, calls it progress.
Universal Pictures produces the Black Phone 2 soundtrack, calls it a haunting masterpiece. When your playlist feels like a seance, it's less about genre and more about summoning the right kind of demons.
EU reports 80% increased consumer choice, calls it a digital revolution. When tech giants give you more options, it's like choosing your own adventure in a dystopian novel, except every ending is just another subscription fee.
England's Children's Commissioner demands closure of youth jails, then offers no plan. When the system fails the young, it's like giving them a life sentence before they've even started living, just without the orange jumpsuit.
Balancing the books by squeezing pennies from the pockets of those already counting coppers, economic wizardry, or just a magic trick with no rabbit.
YouTube comments bark louder than the song's title, then everyone pretends they're music critics. When Romanian folk songs meet the digital age, the real entertainment is watching the armchair experts howl at each other over authenticity.
NFL fines players $1 million for end-zone dances, claims it's about sportsmanship. Because heaven forbid we celebrate a touchdown with a little joy. Next they'll ban smiles and high fives for excessive happiness on the field.
Trump stands over man who fainted in SNL skit channels Florence Nightingale. Because nothing says presidential like turning a comedy bit into a bizarre power stance. Maybe next time he'll hand out band-aids and tax breaks.
When your nation's history is more robust than its funding, it's like
In the music industry's Game of Thrones, the indie underdogs fight dragons with guitars, while the big labels sharpen their swords with dollar bills.
Syria's president plays basketball during U.S. visit, while the court of public opinion remains a war zone. When the ball is in play and not in the air, it's clear some leaders prefer dribbling to diplomacy.
NSW government proposes protest limits near places of worship after court ruled expanded police powers unconstitutional. When neo-Nazis rally near parliament, the government's answer is to silence everyone else. Sounds like someone's got their priorities upside down.
As flight delays stack up like holiday baggage, the only thing taking off smoothly.
Automakers overbuilt EV battery factories, then realized they misjudged demand. In the rush to electrify, they forgot the basics. Measure twice, cut once. Now they're stuck with a lot of expensive empty space.
Iraq's elections face turmoil as Sadrist movement boycotts, risking turnout collapse. Caught in a geopolitical blender, Iraq's prime minister juggles allegiances like flaming chainsaws with voters left to dodge the fallout.
Kelly Sloan, likely to succeed Mark Speakman as NSW Liberal leader, promises to be a thorn in Premier Chris Minns' side. As Sloan sharpens her political claws, Minns should brace for a leadership style that's less about smooth transitions and more about strategic ambushes.
Stockholm unveils a Christmas tree costing €40,000, claims it's a symbol of unity. While the city's homeless could use that cash for warmth, officials insist on decking the halls with fiscal absurdity.
Trump administration delays hunger relief, citing economic recovery priorities. When food banks are your last lifeline, it's comforting to know the rich are getting richer, one tax cut at a time.
They say it's for the people, but when you peel back the layers, it's more like a bureaucratic onion, tears guaranteed, and not the happy kind.
Kate Gosselin flaunts new romance with ex-bodyguard on Instagram, proving love is the ultimate security detail. When love blossoms from protection duty, it's either a fairy tale or just another chapter in reality TV's endless script.
Only 2% of new songs gain traction, and Isaac Akshank's Man calls it a launch. In the vast sea of digital tunes, finding a fan is like catching a goldfish in the ocean, possible but mostly a splash of hope.
Only 27% of doves visit gardens, and Congress calls it a conservation success. In a world where even doves are more reliable than politicians, the seeds of truth are scattered and left to the mercy of winged visitors.
JPM Morgan Chase ignited Tricolor's collapse with one call, then blamed market volatility. When a bank rings, you better hope it's not a death knell for your empire unless you fancy a career in dramatic exits.
Keith McNally endorses Zoran Mamdani for mayor, then claims he loves paying taxes. When a millionaire restaurateur turns socialist cheerleader, you know the city's flavor has shifted from caviar to common sense.
Green demands Johnson swear in Grijalva, then claims unity is possible. In the theatre of political absurdity, demanding decorum from the chaos crew is like asking the fox to guard the henhouse with a smile.
Sly Fox releases Let's Go All the Way in 1985, then calls it New Wave. When the beats hit like a neon tidal wave, even the stiffest shoulders start doing the robot.
Botswana and Angola claim harmony over De Beers stake, then both eye majority control. When two countries say they're perfectly aligned, it's usually code for brace yourself for a diamond-studded showdown.
Like Semiconductor unveils graphene chip, promises computing revolution. The only thing more promising than graphene's potential is the industry's ability to drag its feet on meaningful change while touting tomorrow's wonders today.
In the world of celebrity beef, I Don't Know Her is the velvet glove around the iron fist.
Senator King admits shutdown achieved nothing but damage already done. It's like watching a chef announce the soup's gone cold after leaving the pot of the stove for days. Thanks for the heads up, Captain Obvious.
Albert Edwards warns corporate earnings look robust, then calls them fragile. When the AI bubble bursts, it'll be like a piñata filled with IOUs and shattered dreams.
Trump proposes 107% pasta tariffs, then calls it protection. If tariffs hit, say goodbye to spaghetti and hello to ramen as the new American dream.
Senate agrees shutdown deal after 40 days, delivers nothing on healthcare. It's like promising a fireworks show then handing out sparklers, except now everyone's lost their health coverage and patience.
When hackers are more efficient than your IT department, maybe it's time to reassess.
When your world's largest piggy bank funds a war, who needs peace dividends when you've got compound interest and conflict?
UK retail sales growth slows while shoppers wait for Black Friday, proving patience is a budget's best friend. When the economy's best hope is a shopping holiday named after a financial disaster, we've truly mastered the art of irony.
When the highest court in the land puts a meal on hold, it's clear justice isn't served on an empty stomach.
Trump shares false claim Obama earned $40 million in royalties from Obamacare, proving fiction is his favorite genre. When reality TV meets political theater, the script writes itself, but the truth never gets a speaking role.
Costco singles night teasers as AI dating app. Instead of sparking love over bun-sized snacks, singles found themselves swiping right on algorithms, proving even love.
Visa and MasterCard reach new settlement with merchants, but shoppers might lose their sweet rewards. Looks like the only reward left will be the smug satisfaction of using cash, reminding us of simpler times when wallets were fat and fees were thin.
Supreme Court denies appeal to overturn same-sex marriage, delivering a rainbow-hued legal slap. In a world where love wins, it's nice to see the highest court occasionally remember that equality isn't just a concept, but a constitutional right.
YouTube's algorithm recommends Kaivis punny curries. finally, a soundtrack for the existential crisis of deciding between a pint and a playlist, where every note is as bittersweet as your bar tab.
Donald Trump expresses surprise at Marjorie Taylor Greene's criticisms, then continues government shutdown. The real surprise here is expecting loyalty from someone who treats politics like a reality TV audition, where drama is the only currency.
President Hassan shatters Tanzania's stability despite winning 98% of the vote. When you win by a landslide but lose the people's trust, it seems even an electoral avalanche can't bury the truth of discontent.
Spotify launches Dust Mite Silverwood, promising a snippet, then sells you silence. In the era of streaming, even your playlists get ghosted by algorithms that think silence is golden and charge you for the privilege.
Tether hires 2 top HSBC traders, aims to revolutionize gold market. When a digital currency decides it wants to play pirate with the gold of old, expect treasure maps to include blockchain coordinates.
Massachusetts Department of Public Health urges condom use, yet AIDS awareness posters gather dust in archives. Once vibrant calls to action now fade into history as the fight against complacency battles on in the shadows of forgotten campaigns.
In the race to automation, they hand the keys to the robots while pretending to care about the humans left in the dust.
Typhoon Fungwang hit Philippines. Over 900,000 evacuated, but the storm's fury is just getting started. When Mother Nature decides to throw a tantrum, even the best laid evacuation plans can feel like umbrellas in a hurricane.
Elon Musk could become first trillionaire ever after Tesla shareholders approve record-breaking pay package. Who needs a conscience when you can have a billion-dollar ego? Meanwhile, AI skepticism rises, but Musk's bank account certainly isn't suffering from a data drought.
When reality plays jazz and science insists on classical, expect a cosmic giggle fit. The universe is a weirdo, and we're just its captive audience.
Russian Ka-226 helicopter crashes in Dagestan, killing weapons plant employees, and Moscow calls it a mere technical issue. When machinery meant for war can't even handle gravity, maybe it's time to question who's really winning the arms race.
Meta launches virtual Christmas market, promises authentic Florence experience. Because who needs the aroma of roasted chestnuts and the chill of a Tuscan winter when you can have pixelated nostalgia from your couch? Call it holiday spirit in HD.
When a mountain of rubber feels like art, maybe we finally found beauty in our own apocalypse.
Lebanon frees Gaddafi's son after 9 years, citing new judicial insights. Apparently, nothing says justice like waiting nearly a decade to realize you might have been holding the wrong guy. Who knew epiphanies had shelf lives?
A rock bassist vanishes in '95, found dead 4 years later, and the band calls it a long tour.
In the rock and roll world, disappearing acts are as common as guitar solos, but this one hit a sour note even for the genre's standards.
Trump grants Hungary a year-long pass from Russian energy sanctions, calling it a strategic partnership. In the geopolitical chess game, Trump seems to have mistaken Hungary for a rook when it's more of a pawn in Putin's pocket.
Trump threatens legal action over modified speech, causing news executives to resign. In a world where truth is stranger than fiction, Trump's suing spree might just be his most consistent policy yet.
Senegal's Prime Minister Sonko opposes debt restructuring, then struggles as financial strain tightens its grip. Clinging to sovereignty while the economy gasps for air is like refusing a lifeboat because you don't like the colour.
Kathy Griffin shares her unfiltered thoughts, proving her mind is as sharp as her comedy. In a world of echo chambers, Griffin's brain is a rock concert, and she's the lead guitarist shredding through the noise.
Trump petitions Supreme Court to dismiss E. Jean Carroll's $5 million verdict, then claims victimhood. It's like asking the fox to guard the henhouse, but this fox thinks it owns the farm.
BBC director resigns after editing Trump's speech, then says it was all just creative freedom. When the truth gets the director's cut, even reality starts to look like a poorly scripted soap opera.
Jones Act inflates US petrol prices, claims it protects jobs. It's the economic equivalent of wearing a parka in summer, sweetie, expensive and utterly pointless.
UK refuses EU's €675 billion defence fund fee, insists on sovereignty. It's like skipping gym membership fees to defend your couch. Bold but won't help in a crunch.
Republicans reject Democrats' shutdown proposal, then demand more tax cuts for the wealthy. In a plot twist, worthy of a daytime drama, the government stays closed while the rich get a red carpet.
Macklin Celebrini nets 10th goal as Sharks defeat Panthers 3-1 for third consecutive win. Celebrini's on-fire scoring streak is like a rock star encore. Fans can't get enough, but opponents wish they'd unplug.
Trump's clemency recipient Jonathan Brown returns to prison after violating release terms. Brown's freedom was as short-lived as a TikTok trend, proving some second chances are just recycled bad decisions.
Only 12% of Western Europeans receive CKD diagnosis, and Big Pharma calls it an opportunity. When chronic illness becomes a growth market, we're just one ad campaign away from selling dialysis as the next big lifestyle trend.
While Mother Earth gets a momentary reprieve, Big Oil's party hats suggest they're already planning the next environmental hangover.
Spotify's algorithm promotes Yaltsen, Canucks, Le Soleil Noir, Ost, then claims it's your new favorite without asking.
JBL charge 6 drops to $130. Still won't make your ex text back.
Only 10% of AI tools actually simplify life, and CEOs call it progress. These free AI tools are like a magician who charges for the rabbit ease your life while complicating your wallet.
Turkish Air Force C-130 crashes, declares no casualties, as if that erases the wreckage. Military mishaps are the new normal. Crash, spin, repeat until the truth is buried under diplomatic platitudes.
Italian pasta giants threaten US withdrawal over tariffs, and politicians call it a culinary crisis. Pasta lovers might soon face a famine of fusilli, trading their spaghetti dreams for a nightmare of instant noodles.
Supreme Court to challenge mail-in ballots threatens to disrupt voter accessibility. In a democracy twist, sending your vote by mail might soon require a time machine and a carrier pigeon.
Montreal Impact loans Brad Gillard from Line, while Vancouver quietly drops De Jong like yesterday's news. Soccer teams shuffle players like a blackjack dealer on speed, hoping nobody notices the house always wins in the end.
Morgan Stanley declares bull market, insists it's cost-cutting magic. Apparently, Wall Street's secret sauce now includes fairy dust and optimism served on a gold-plated platter.
Serbian President Vučić invites hunger striker, gets rejection instead. When even hunger-stricken citizens refuse to dine with you, maybe it's time to question the menu of power you're serving.
Trump praises Syria's al-Shara after White House talks, claiming this leader can do it despite Syria's ongoing chaos. When the bar for leadership is set at can do it, you know the world stage is a circus and the clowns are running the show.
Pete Davidson demands a unicorn and world peace to return to SNL. Looks like the comedy world will have to settle for fewer tattoos and more miracles before Pete graces the stage again.
U.S. Supreme Court allows Trump to withhold $4 billion in food aid, calls it fiscal responsibility. Apparently, feeding millions isn't as important as keeping the budget trim for golf course tax breaks and presidential portraits.
Only 15% of businesses raise wages amid unemployment crisis, and corporate leaders call it necessary. Seems like the only thing rising faster than unemployment is the list of excuses for keeping workers underpaid and overworked.
Only 20% of family estates avoid conflict, and your brother calls it fair game. Looks like your brother's idea of family values is a solo performance of he who has the gold makes the rules.
Scientists discover bowel cancer's Big Bang growth trigger.
Despite unlocking the secrets of cancer's explosive growth, the real mystery remains why funding for cures still moves at the pace of a snail on vacation.
TikTok users film themselves doing nothing for hours and call it the new meditation. In a world where attention spans are on the endangered species list, the latest trend is turning inactivity into a spectator sport. Who knew watching paint dry could become a modern Zen garden?
Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove admits defeat after opposing Mamdani, then preaches unity. In the grand tradition of, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, Cosgrove now advocates for a kumbaya moment. Apparently, losing gracefully involves a lot of hand-holding and awkward smiles.
Trump administration demands states reverse SNAP benefits for November 2025, claiming fiscal responsibility. Because nothing screams, let them eat cake, quite like yanking food aid when inflation's at a high. The administration's Budget Balancing Act clearly involves tipping the scales away from the hungry.
Only 20% of sperm donors meet demand, as social media turns reproduction into a contactless transaction. In the age of swipe-right parenting, sperm becomes the new cryptocurrency, and men their own NFTs, traded in a marketplace of unregulated desire.
While mice get the VIP treatment of futuristic brain massages, humans are left wondering if their salvation will ever escape the maze of red tape.
Pete Davidson mocks Lorne Michaels for cleaning the SNL throne, suggesting Tina Fey is poised for a coup. In a world where comedy is the new monarchy, Davidson's jest becomes a battle cry for the rightful heir to the sketch kingdom.
UN climate chief demands urgent action, warns inaction will lead to unforgivable disaster. When the planet's on fire and the ice caps are a memory, history won't forgive the fossil fuel procrastination.
US health insurers stocks tumble as subsidy extension holds vanish, leaving patients to foot the bill. The government's shutdown saga is like a soap opera, but with fewer cliffhangers and more bankruptcies. Just another day in the land of the free.
Trump exempts Hungary from Russian energy sanctions, calls it a strategic necessity. When your geopolitical strategy is a bromance with autocrats, expect your energy policy to smell like crude oil and nostalgia for empire.
Apple exec Eddie Q dismisses ad tier and Warner Brothers buyout rumors, then offers nothing but a shrug.
NASA discovers hidden heat on Saturn's icy moon. Enceladus speculates about life. While Earth debates climate change, Enceladus keeps its secrets warm, proving that even distant moons can be more hospitable than a political debate stage.
FAA reduces flights by 20%, yet delays persist like a bad hangover. When political gamesmanship turns airports into purgatories, the only thing taking off is public patience.
European Parliament approves Europol expansion, calls it necessary despite civil liberty concerns, because nothing says we're listening like turning up the volume on surveillance when everyone's shouting about privacy.
Because when a storm's name sounds like a dish at your local takeout, you know the universe is just having a laugh.
UPS and FedEx ground all MD-11 planes, but cargo chaos continues unabated. When logistics giants tremble like this, even your Amazon Prime delivery can't outrun the specter of corporate corner cutting.
Trump administration extends government shutdown to 40 days, calling it a fiscal strategy. When your budget plan feels more like a biblical trial, maybe it's time to rethink your priorities or get a new scriptwriter.
A flat tire and a phone call thwarted a perfect crime, defying every true crime podcast's wildest predictions. Turns out, even the most meticulous criminal can be undone by a deflated ego and a misplaced call to roadside assistance.
Spotify declares melodic rock dead, but fans keep streaming it. Like a vintage leather jacket, melodic rock never truly goes out of style. It's just waiting to be rediscovered by the next rebel with a cause.
Safeway forces shoppers to purchase before exiting, redefining window shopping as a criminal act.
Virginia elects Palestinian American, defying political norms, and the establishment calls it an anomaly. In a world where bold truths are often silenced, this win is a megaphone shouting against the oppressive silence.
Harvard professor pushes for human spaceflight, ignoring that robots don't need snacks or bathroom breaks. Sending humans into space is like sending a goldfish to do a shark's job. Cute, but impractical when robots don't need to breathe.
Gumi City releases video with blackface, claims cultural homage. Apparently the memo about racial sensitivity got lost in translation.
European Central Bank bans kings on banknotes, crowns them on coins. Because who needs paper monarchs when you can have pocket-sized royalty jingling with every step? Coins, the last bastion of royal nostalgia.
Iranian police claim activist's death was accidental, though he burned a photo of Khamenei days before.
New Belgrade planners approve 40-year-old Block 23, call it modern. When brutalism was an architectural style and not a life philosophy, we got concrete jungles like Block 23, gray, grim, and gloriously outdated.
US government shutdown drama inflates emerging market stocks. Optimism masks deeper economic wounds. When political theater becomes the market's puppet master, you know the real show is the brewing global economic storm.
Trump demolishes White House's East Wing, calls it a renovation. In a move that screams wrecking ball diplomacy, Trump's version of a facelift is more sledgehammer than subtlety, proving once again that subtlety is not his strong suit.
When your hospitality involves refrigeration, it's time to defrost your sense of human rights.
Only 20% of Russians trust banks now, and Putin calls it stability. When your financial trust is as fragile as a Fabergé egg in a Russian roulette game, it's no wonder citizens are stuffing their mattresses instead of bank vaults.
When the city's iconic monument becomes a backdrop for chaos, calling it isolated is like saying a monsoon is just a drizzle.
University of Wyoming launches probes into 2 anti-Semitic incidents, branding it a learning opportunity. When bigotry hits campus, calling it an educational moment is like treating a venomous bite with a lecture on snakes.
John Howard supports 4-year terms, aligning with PM on Whitlam dismissal anniversary. When old rivals unite, it's like cats and dogs agreeing on the weather. Everyone gets suspicious and democracy gets a warning label.
New homeowner encouraged to tackle DIY promises high rewards for low-risk projects. Sure, fixing a leaky faucet sounds easy until you're knee-deep in water, realizing YouTube can't hold a wrench.
Trump pardons trail runner for shortcut on record run, calls it innovation in athletics. When presidential pardons extend to joggers, it's only a matter of time before jaywalkers get medals and speed limits become suggestions.
Westside Gun releases heels. Hawaii 3, but British say it can knock out the competition.
Utah judge overturns GOP gerrymander, restores fair map approved by voters. Looks like democracy gets a rare win, at least until the next round of political cartography gymnastics.
If pop punk were a high school reunion, this album is the guy still wearing his Letterman jacket and calling himself the King.
System of a Down's Chop Suey hits 24 years, still a headbanger's wake-up call, proof that screaming about existential dread never goes out of style, unlike your early 2000s cargo pants.
Seven lawsuits target ChatGPT over suicides and delusions, and the developers still call it a tool for progress. When your chatbot starts moonlighting as a cult leader, maybe it's time to rethink your definition of artificial intelligence.
AI-built websites now load in 2 seconds, but they still think 404 is a philosophical statement. Speed without wisdom is just a race to nowhere, and the internet's becoming a highway of missed connections.
Four Horry County officers
resign after sexual relationships, county spokesperson follows suit. When your office scandal sounds like a rejected reality TV pilot, it's time to rethink the HR training manual.
Manchester City claims their lineup is unbeatable, yet they've lost more matches than my ex's mixtape. When the hype's bigger than the trophy cabinet, you know it's just another episode of Premier League the soap opera.
Apple celebrates 10 years of iPad Pro, still insists it's revolutionary despite lacking basic laptop features. It's like celebrating a birthday for a cake that never left the oven. The frosting looks great, but you can't eat potential.
Britney Spears' Gimme More gets dark synth remix, promises more beats but the same existential dread. When pop hits go goth, it's like dressing your bubblegum in leather and eyeliner, still sweet, but now with the brooding side eye.
YouTube launches Hey Pie on November 14th, promises Latin Urbano vibes, but offers dance energy that sounds like a caffeine crash. The real dance is trying to navigate their privacy settings while dodging cookies like a digital salsa.
Researchers develop flexible perovskite silicon solar cell with dual buffer, but stress still breaks its heart. It's like giving your solar panels yoga classes and a therapist, yet they still crack under pressure. Maybe some meditation next?
Looks like the only thing booming is the sound of environmentalists laughing from the sidelines.
Only 5% of Americans reduce waistlines, and Big Food calls it a crisis.
ArcelorMittal ends talks with South Africa's IDC, still can't find a match for its steel heart. It's like the steel giant brought flowers to the date, but the chemistry was colder than a winter in Johannesburg. Time to swipe right on new investors.
Savannah Bananas defy gravity with trick play, call it Normal Tuesday. In a world where baseball is more circus than sport, even the clowns are athletes.
Only 3% of corporate bond investors show concern, and Kontopoulos calls it unprecedented complacency. When profits soar, caution is just a relic, and the bubble's lullaby sweetens the fall.
Denmark plans to ban social media for under 15s because kids should only experience bullying the old-fashioned way. Forget digital detox. Denmark wants to send kids back to the Stone Age, where gossip spread by word of mouth and the occasional slingshot.
Nations pledge climate action, then emissions hit record highs. In the grand theatre of promises, the planet plays the waiting game while leaders rehearse their excuses.
Only 30% of Democratic leaders are under 60, and the party calls it youthful. The Democrats might as well be sponsored by Centrum Silver, because their meetings are starting to sound like a game of bingo.
Reddit user posts Korn's song, Internet remains unchanged.
Lithium investors shift focus to storage, then wonder where all the electric cars went. As the industry pivots from mining to storing, it seems we're hoarding lithium like it's the new gold, just without the shiny bars or pirate allure.
Prime Minister Viktor Orban secures U.S. sanctions exemption. Moll's shares rise faster than oil prices in a heat wave. Hungary's getting a get-out-of-sanctions-free card, proving once again that in politics it's not who you know, but who you can cozy up to.
Trump declares he's saving God and asks for a campaign donation. In the latest installment of Who Needs Reality, Trump positions himself as the divine savior while the rest of us pray for a fact-checking miracle.
Meta releases digital love ballad, charges $10 for virtual tears. In a world where avatars have more chemistry than most couples, Stardust.exe offers the perfect soundtrack for your next existential crisis, now available with in-app purchases for those premium heartstrings.
Only 30% of luxury crops survive, and Big Ag calls it progress. Welcome to the future, where your morning coffee, sweet indulgences, and wine therapy are all as endangered as a good night's sleep.
Beyond Meat blames shrinking demand, shares drop 8%. Turns out the sizzle of meme stocks fades faster than a plant-based patty on a cold grill, leaving investors with a taste of nostalgia and missed profits.
Major League Baseball fakes games, sells thousands of tickets anyway. When America's pastime becomes a masterclass in deception, fans are left wondering if their love for the game is as counterfeit as the matchups they paid to see.
Diddy denies prison alcohol rumors, insists on rule following at FCI Fort Dix. When your prison stint becomes a self-improvement retreat, perhaps it's time to question if the real bars are the ones you left behind.
Ryanair eliminates because nothing says customer service like forcing you to download an app just to get on a plane. Who needs paper when you can have digital anxiety?
Thailand's central bank chief defies tradition, greets public with a simple hello, and charges for every extra word.
When Hollywood's edge teeters into absurdity, even the awards have to act surprised.
Trump launches presidency-themed merchandise, claims it's patriotic. When life gives you the Oval Office, apparently you open a souvenir shop. Who knew national pride could fit in a tote bag with his face on it?
UPS and FedEx ground cargo planes after Kentucky disaster, then claim it's all about safety, not profit margins. When the skies become a game of roulette, safety first sounds more like a corporate slogan than a genuine concern.
Grammar experts split infinitives, call it liberation. When the comma queen wields her hammer, even syntax isn't safe. Who needs rules when you've got a sledgehammer and a thirst for linguistic anarchy?
Only 40% of alternative music fans recognize Suburban's Mercury, and the record label calls it progress.
In an industry where algorithms decide your next favorite song, recognizing talent is as rare as a vinyl record in a digital playlist.
Ex-president's daughter mocks terror charges with outfit, then parades at preliminary hearing. Dodozil Zuma Simbudla's fashion statement screams louder than any courtroom drama, turning her trial into a runway of ridicule. When life gives you accusations, strut them like couture.
German parliament debates sex work laws, dubbing the country the brothel of Europe while ignoring their own policies that built the business. It's a classic case of blaming the workers while the lawmakers who crafted the industry sit back, counting their moral victories and tax revenues.
MIT researchers developed brain implants that travel through blood, calling it surgery-free, but forget the part about tech support in your bloodstream. Just imagine your brain buffering during a deep thought because your neural Wi-Fi needs a reboot. Now that's a tech glitch for the ages.
Academic freedom, now with a side of state-sponsored censorship where universities become the gatekeepers of geopolitical sensitivities, education's new curriculum, silence is golden, critique is forbidden.
NordVPN offers 77% off this November, ensuring your paranoia stays budget-friendly while you sip overpriced lattes. Because nothing says secure like a discount on the digital equivalent of a tinfoil hat, right?
Trump administration demands states reverse SNAP payments because who needs food security when you can have chaos instead? Apparently, the only thing more satisfying than a full stomach is a return to Dickensian despair.
Only 40% of blues aficionados recognize Gary B.B. Coleman, yet his guitar wails like a truth-telling siren. In a world where authenticity is a rare gem, Coleman's riffs cut through the noise, leaving the skeptics to ponder if legends need household names.
Trump pardons former Tennessee House Speaker and aide, convicted of fraud because justice is just a suggestion in the land of the free. Fraud's not a crime, it's a resume booster when you have the right friends in high places.
Irish football chiefs pass vote seeking UEFA ban on Israel from European competition, proving sports and politics are the same game with different jerseys. When the pitch becomes a battleground, even the referees need a crash course in diplomacy.
South Park creators break silence on why this season keeps slamming Trump, because satire is the last refuge when reality outpaces absurdity.
After vowing fiscal responsibility, Republicans trigger shutdown chaos, then scramble to reopen government without a plan. Their political hangover might linger longer than a bad tattoo, but like all things in politics, it's just a matter of time before the next self-inflicted wound steals the spotlight.
Radiohead's Everything in Its Right Place, slowed by 800%, becomes the soundtrack for existential dread in slow motion. Because nothing screams modern anxiety like dragging your soul across a sonic molasses lake at a snail's pace.
Cities market guru Paul Smith predicts a bullish future, then suggests investing in umbrellas for the sunny season. Because nothing says confidence like hedging your bets with a weather metaphor in a financial forecast.
Burt Bacharach's timeless tune claims love is the answer, while the world keeps asking, what's the Wi-Fi password?
Connor McDavid scores a dazzling goal, and the Oilers still lose by 1. Even a hockey wizard can't conjure a victory when the rest of the team plays like they're on a banana peel.
Donald Trump labels critics kakistocrats, then appoints his 4th reality TV star to cabinet. When your political strategy is inspired by a survivor elimination round, the only immunity idol is sheer audacity. Who knew running a country was just one big season finale?
U.S. Transportation Secretary predicts air chaos, then blames worker exodus. When your flight's delayed, just remember, it's not turbulence, it's a government-induced free fall into the land of no return.
Billionaires dodge taxes with loopholes, then call it legal genius.
Scientists discover bacterial nanopores mimic brain learning, then wonder why their own brains didn't see it sooner. When bacteria start outsmarting the humans, maybe it's time to rethink who's really at the top of the food chain. Who knew evolution had such a wicked sense of irony?
Indian police invoke terror law after car blast kills 13, then politicians promise safety. Nothing says, we've got this, like invoking laws after the chaos, when prevention would have been the real magic trick.
Assay CEO launches Honor Through Action, pledges $500 million, then calls it a movement. Because nothing screams genuine support like a $500 million PR campaign wrapped in patriotism and a shiny new hashtag.
Auction house expects gold toilet to fetch $10 million, proving once again that some folks just love a throne with a flush. While the rest of us are struggling to afford basic plumbing, someone's about to take their bathroom breaks to a whole new level of opulence and absurdity.
Johnson claims Senate deal ends national nightmare, but the sequel's already in production. Because in the grand political theater, every resolution is just a cliffhanger waiting for its next act.
China reports factory gate deflation eases by October, yet consumer prices rise faster than a rocket-fueled dumpling. Because nothing says economic stability like shifting costs from the factory floor straight to your dinner table.
Remember when dot-com billionaires were the new rock stars? Now it's AI tycoons, and they're playing the same old tune. This time it's different.
UK unemployment climbs to 5%, the highest in 4 years, as government calls it a strategic employment adjustment. Apparently, job loss is the latest British export, right alongside tea and stiff upper lips.
Trump declares shutdown victory. Republicans inherit political migraine as voters question the cost of winning. Winning so hard that the GOP might need a prescription for ibuprofen and a new PR strategy.
Nature botches scientists' name in correction, but insists accuracy is their top priority. When the stakes are as high as cancer research, You'd think they'd get the names right. Instead, it's like a game of academic telephone.
Senate proposes bill letting senators sue over phone searches because privacy is only sacred when it's theirs. Apparently, privacy rights are like exclusive club memberships. Only the elite get access.
Senate reopens government with help from 8 Democrats. Proving party loyalty is as reliable as a paper umbrella in a hurricane. When the going gets tough, the tough get bipartisan, or maybe just confused.
Only 30% of Finns see sunlight in winter, and Finland calls it cozy. Winter mornings in Finland, where the sun's a mythical creature, and everyone's vitamin D comes in pill form. Cozy, or just a long-term plan to make candles sexy again.
Lower-income Americans face weakest wage gains in a decade as the K-shed economy stacks dollars like a Jenga tower for the rich.
Saudi Arabia spends billions on neon, calls it progress, then watches it teeter like a Jenga tower in a sandstorm. When your futuristic city project looks more like a sci-fi set than a real place, maybe it's time to invest in reality checks instead of holograms. Neom, where dreams go to dodge accountability.
AI-generated country song tops Billboard chart, and Nashville's Cowboys can only tip their hats to the algorithm overlords. When your digital jukebox out yodels the human heart, it's time to question if we're all just backup singers in our own songs.
Only 5% of listeners embrace Janice's beautiful new music, and streaming platforms call it a grassroots sensation. When algorithms decide what beauty sounds like, the rest of us are left to wonder if our tastes need a software update.
Trump pardons Giuliani and 70 others, then claims it's all about justice, while the rest of us choke on the irony. Apparently, justice now comes with a friends and family discount. Who knew that loyalty points were redeemable for pardons? Welcome to the Trump loyalty program, where the only thing subverted is the truth.
Gavin Newsom, 58, doubles down on Trump 79 dementia claims, proving irony can run for president too. When a political pot calls an authoritarian kettle senile, democracy's cookware is in desperate need of a clean-up.
Philippine government evacuates over 900,000 as Fang Wong intensifies, calling it a preparedness triumph. When your best success story is getting people out of the path of disaster, maybe it's time to question why they're always in it. NVIDIA connects AI GPUs to quantum processors, calls it progress, while quantum computing remains a pipe dream for the next decade. It's like building a racetrack in a world without cars. Sure, it's fast, but where exactly are we going? Just another tech tease, promising a future that's always just around the corner.
Trump defends issuing 600,000 Chinese student visas, promises it's about education, not espionage. When your education policy sounds like the plot of a Cold War thriller, maybe school isn't the only thing getting graded.
Wikipedia urges AI companies to pay for its data, calls it a fair exchange for free knowledge. When a free encyclopedia starts charging admission, you know the information age is getting a bit too capitalist for comfort.
Israeli settlers attack Palestinians harvesting olives, claiming self-defense against unarmed farmers.
Melania Trump claims her film is a defining moment in history, then premieres it at a Fox Awards show. Because nothing screams historical significance like a red carpet event, where the only thing getting a standing ovation is the buffet table. It's a cinematic revolution, brought to you by the same folks who gave us reality TV precedencies.
Army gynecologist accused of secretly filming patients at Fort Hood, a breach of trust in a place of supposed safety. When the doctor swaps the speculum for a spy cam, it's clear the Hippocratic Oath has been replaced by the Hypocrite's Creed. Fort Hood, where privacy is as mythical as a unicorn on a military base.
When financial alchemy turned cities into casinos, even JP Morgan's betting on the house.
ICE agents detain toddlers in viral videos, redefining family values with toddler tears and trauma. When toddlers become targets, it's clear the only border ICE protects is the one between humanity and heartlessness. Who knew child's play could be so cruel?
When the cure costs more than the disease, even a shutdown can't silence the sound of wallets wailing.
Satire drops new track Billy with industrial metal riffs solves nothing. Like a sonic sledgehammer to the skull, it's music for those who think subtlety is for cowards.
In the eternal quest for immortality, China might just outlive its own propaganda.
Former Met police officer used sex workers on duty, then investigated conduct. Because nothing says protect and serve quite like taking a personal detour down red light alley while the watchdogs are watching.
Iran pleads for water conservation amid record drought, but Tehran's reservoirs are nearly empty. When your government's best solution is asking nicely, you know the well of ideas dried up long before the water did.
Taxi drivers refuse 75-year-old John's 1.5-kilometer ride despite Sydney's new $3,000 fines. Apparently, some drivers think the meter's not running unless it's running them a profit. Guess honesty's not worth the price of admission.
Spain sends King and Queen to China for political dialogue, hoping royal charm trumps trade deficits. When your diplomatic strategy involves crowns and scepters, It's less about policy and more about medieval cosplay.
UN reports baby bottles and vaccines withheld from Gaza because nothing says stability like denying infants basic life essentials. Apparently, the new frontier in geopolitical strategy is making sure babies cry louder than the diplomats.
Reddit user shares Bob Dylan's Desolation Row, a folk classic, as we all collectively scroll through our own digital desolation. In the age of TikTok hits, Dylan's poetry still cuts through like a razor, reminding us that true artistry doesn't come with a hashtag.
Israeli drone strike kills 2 in Gaza because ceasefires are just guidelines in the global game of monopoly on suffering. When your peace treaty comes with a side of drone warfare, you know the rules of engagement are written in invisible ink.
Supreme Court debates late mail ballots because democracy's a choose-your-own-adventure where the plot twist is always voter suppression. In a country where time zones are political battlegrounds, the clock strikes midnight and Cinderella's ballot turns into a pumpkin.
Russia's Lavrov claims UNSC considers Putin's nuclear control proposal while Moscow stockpiles more warheads. In a world where the fox guards the henhouse, Putin's peace offerings are as trustworthy as a snake oil salesman at a health convention.
Wall Street execs predict stock trends, then blame market forces for betting wrong. When your crystal ball's powered by insider tips, every market crash is just a minor hiccup in the grand casino of capitalism.
Texas Church launches political academy, then dismisses the Constitution's separation clause as optional reading. When your campaign strategy includes divine intervention, democracy starts looking like a spectator sport with God as the referee.
New York City elects climate-focused mayor, then rents rise faster than sea levels. When green promises meet the concrete jungle, the only thing renewable is the cycle of hope and disappointment.
Sergei Lavrov skips Moscow summit. Kremlin claims it's a strategic retreat.
Utah judge rejects geometry treaty, approves Democratic seat, defying the state lawmakers' gerrymandering dreams.
Gavin Newsom slams Democrats for shutdown deal, says they're stuck in analog, like trying to stream Netflix on a VHS player. The Democrats' outdated tactics are bound to leave them with nothing but static and regret.
If redefining means recycling every moody chord from 1995, then grab your flannel and relive the angst you never missed.
Syria launches preemptive raids against Islamic State, claims it's about time they found their own WMDs. When the pot calls the kettle black, it's usually because they've both been in the fire too long.
Only 5% of CEOs admit corruption, and this one claims innocence. In a world where denial is cheaper than integrity, the truth is just a costly PR campaign away.
Israel Premier Tech loses sponsor, then promises a rebrand for 2026. When protest pedals faster than rebranding, even the Tour de Denial can't keep up.
Xylent drops Welcome to Reality, Reborn, snippet, promises revolution but delivers a remix. When the soundtrack of rebellion sounds like a karaoke machine, it's time to question who's holding the mic.
Only 20% of covers improve the original, and Teresa's calls it a tribute. When folk metal meets disco, Rasputin gets a head-banging remix that makes even Siberian winters feel like a fever dream.
NFL legend Paul Tagliabue, commissioner for 17 years, dies at 84, and the league remembers his rulebook, not his reign. In a world where the game is a religion, even the high priests must eventually hang up their cleats.
Reagan-appointed Judge Mark L. Wolf resigns, then slams Trump's assault on rule of law. When even a Reagan-era judge jumps ship, you know the legal iceberg is melting faster than the polar caps.
Centerspace considers selling apartment complexes, and tenants wonder if rent hikes come free with the deal. When landlords play Monopoly with your home, you're just the plastic hotel they'll swap for Boardwalk.
When a former bond patches up old wounds, maybe there's hope for the rest of us to defuse our emotional time bombs.
Climate change shrinks fish in Michigan's lakes, and the fish are not thrilled. As the fish diet plan reaches new depths, maybe Mother Nature is just trying to help the fish fit into today's slimmer habitats.
Trump claims shutdown victory, but Republicans are left with a political migraine and no aspirin in sight. Winning a shutdown is like celebrating a Pyrrhic victory while standing in the ashes of your own party's credibility.
Supreme Court tackles Trump tariffs, risking $100 billion fallout. As Trump flexes his emergency muscles, the Constitution wonders if it's time for a restraining order on presidential overreach.
Only 1% of pop songs achieve Golden Glow, and Jazali's latest track claims the spotlight.
The government's way of saying, happy early retirement, here's less money and more rules.
Scientists developed magnetogeological fibers, promise smart wearables, but deliver tangled tech. These fibers, like a cat distracted by a laser pointer, respond to magnetic fields with all the grace of a drunken ballerina, hinting at a future where our clothes might be as confused as our tech overlords.
TikTok launches Solar Flare Groove Challenge, promises cosmic dance moves will solve your earthly problems. Because when the world feels like it's on fire, why not dance like you're in space while the planet burns?
Jenna Jameson trades body for Bible, claims to guide others in finding Jesus after a career in adult entertainment. Because nothing says
Trump pardons Giuliani and Meadows, labeling January 6 conspirators as misunderstood patriots. In a plot twist even Shakespeare would envy, The Art of the Pardon now includes a free pass for insurrection, with a side of political theatre.
UK investigates potential Chinese control over bus fleet, questions if public transport is now a geopolitical game. Who knew the morning commute could be an international thriller? Next stop, espionage with a dash of brake failure.
AI translates brain activity into text as if your thoughts needed subtitles for the universe. Finally, a way to caption those existential crises during morning meetings. Your brain's inner monologue is now a Netflix special.
Investors are finally remembering there's more to the economy than just tech stocks. It's like discovering the rest of the grocery store beyond the candy aisle.
Only 10% of new artists break through, and Reddit calls it a community. In a world where everyone's a producer, getting honest feedback is like finding a needle in a haystack made of emojis and upvotes.
Trump administration claims greater harm from SNAP appeal, ignoring hunger. Apparently, the pain of bureaucracy outweighs the gnawing stomachs of those without food. Who knew paperwork had such a ravenous appetite?
Trump's clemency recipient lands back in prison for alleged nanny molestation and toddler assault. Looks like the presidential pardon didn't come with a morality clause. Maybe next time a background check would help keep the Clemency Club exclusive.
Unveiling the digital wizard behind the curtain, where ones and zeros play favorites like a rigged election. We knew algorithms had party affiliations.
Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant reconnects backup power. 6 months of risky roulette ended. When your backup plan involves nuclear fission, it's less of a safety net and more of a high-stakes circus act. Welcome back to the grid, Satire.
South Korean breakthrough technology promises game-changing transportation but lacks a release date. In a world where flying cars remain science fiction and our roads are still bumper to bumper, promises are the fastest thing moving. South Korea's got the hype, but where's the ride?
It's like changing captains mid-cruise only to announce you're selling the ship. Investors love a plot twist, even if it leads straight to a shipwreck sale.
Australia's MPs lambast proposal to cut country road speed limits, arguing for speed over safety. Apparently, the thrill of 100 kilometers per hour is worth more than a few lives. Guess slow and steady only wins in fairy tales, not politics.
Russian forces invade Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk on battered vehicles, flaunting destruction as a victory parade.
U.S. Supreme Court blocks full SNAP payments for November, leaving 42 million Americans teetering on the brink of hunger. So the highest court plays will they, won't they, with dinner for millions, proving justice is blind and apparently deaf to growling stomachs.
Ford CEO warns U.S. manufacturing crisis hits breaking point, while China builds factories faster than you can say, "Made in America." Maybe we should swap that red bell for a factory whistle, because when it comes to keeping up with China, we're just blowing smoke.
Federal judge rules education deportation. Partisan emails breached First Amendment. Yet the Trump administration claims it was just streamlining communication. Who knew that out of office could mean out of bounds? Maybe they should just stick to "I'll be back."
You claim Eurovision fosters unity, yet only a handful of countries hog the win. Looks like in the Eurovision family, some siblings get all the talent while others are left with the tambourine.
Geophysicists debate rifting row in igneous provinces, then admit the Canas Anza defies their theories. Trying to predict volcanic behavior is like trusting a cat to follow house rules. Both are bound to surprise you.
Saturday Night Live captures politics chaos, then skips substance for spectacle in its first 10 minutes. When reality's a circus, even satire struggles to juggle the truth without dropping a few clowns.
Ceasefires seem to be the world's most fragile agreements, crumbling faster than a sandcastle at high tide.
Bassy Tunes releases indie soul track, then the algorithm buries it under influencer drama. In the digital jungle, heartfelt blues get trampled by the stampede of viral dances and clickbait confessions.
Sony shares expected to rise with blockbuster anime, proving that cartoon power can outpace corporate strategy. Who needs an innovative business plan when you can just ride the coattails of animated demon slayers?
Trump officials claim affordability rises, then rent costs soar through the roof. In a dystopian twist, the only thing more inflated than housing prices is the administration's sense of reality.
U.S. Supreme Court extends pause on SNAP benefits, while 42 million Americans wonder if dinner is just a myth.
Tim Berners-Lee claims AI will save the web just as soon as it finishes mining your data for breakfast. The father of the internet says AI is a savior, while the rest of us are left wondering if it's more like a step-parent with boundary issues.
Honoring a dictator is like giving a gold star for oppression. It's the ultimate participation trophy for tyranny.
John Howard urges Susan May to unite with PM on 4-year terms because democracy just isn't slow enough. Pushing for longer terms while ignoring climate duty is like asking for a bigger leash to ignore the fire at your feet.
Only 0% of links actually work, and the internet still calls it user-friendly. Navigating broken links is like trying to find love in a maze of Tinder profiles, hopeful, frustrating, and ultimately leading nowhere.
PewDiePie names himself Supreme Leader of AI Council, then his digital minions plot a coup. When your own creation turns against you, it's a classic case of Frankenstein, with a YouTube twist, minus the ethics, plus 1 million views.
Department of Homeland Security bans transgender TSA officers, then preaches equality. It's like banning rainbows from a pride parade while claiming you're the ally of the year. Just another day in bureaucratic wonderland.
Scientists edit gene in 15 patients, call it a cholesterol game changer. Editing genes to dodge cholesterol, because why diet when you can snip away your problems at the molecular level? It's science's take on a permanent cheat day.
Qatar hires spies to discredit woman, then denies any wrongdoing. Spending millions on espionage to silence a victim is just peak villain energy, like hiring a hitman and then claiming you're just into role play.
Like a cyber ninja in the shadows, ClickFix sneaks into your life through friendly hotel emails, turning a reservation into a reservation for disaster.
Lawyers blame weak AI for fake citations, dodge accountability. When justice is just a download away, who needs due diligence? It's like blaming the dog for eating your homework, but now the dog's a chatbot.
Ecuador prison reports 31 inmate deaths, claims it's just another day in paradise. When overcrowding meets gang warfare, prisons become gladiator arenas and rehabilitation is just a word on the brochure.
UK proposes turning bad wealth into productivity, promises to fix inequality with a financial magic trick. Transforming passive assets into economic growth is like expecting a sloth to win a marathon cute in theory, but reality bites.
In a world of medical miracles, sometimes it's just a case of, oops, my bad. Let's hope they're not prescribing leeches next.
CMS automates Medicaid drug pricing, calls it efficient. Turning drug prices into code is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube with your eyes closed. Good luck finding the savings.
YouTube rolls out new experimental feature, claims it enhances user experience, but mostly confuses them with a language labyrinth. Like a digital Tower of Babel, YouTube's language menu now offers more options than a polyglot's nightmares, leaving users wondering if they're signing in or signing up for a linguistic triathlon.
Norway's PPI buys SBB's properties for $3.4 billion, solves absolutely nothing for housing scarcity. The rich play monopoly with billion-dollar properties, while the rest of us scramble to afford a shoebox. The only thing getting built is a bigger wall between us and affordable living.
Trump accuses Democrats of cracking over shutdown, then blames filibuster fears. When in doubt, compare political opponents to animals, because who needs civility when you've got a metaphorical dog whistle?
Trump extends Syria sanctions relief, then meets al-Sharaa to discuss forging economic ties.
Because nothing says special relationship like swapping tea for drones and playing defense in a country known for its waffles.
NFL player mimics Trump dance after touchdown, then calls it a celebration. In a world where end-zone antics meet political pantomime, Amon-Ra St. Brown turns a touchdown into a satire, who knew football could double as performance art.
FAA slashes flights by 15%, then claims it's to improve efficiency. Like a surgeon wielding a chainsaw.
In a world where algorithms pick our playlists, even metalheads find themselves adrift in a sea of curated melancholy, wondering if true grit has gone the way of analog.
Syria's Sharaa meets Trump after sanctions lifted, and the world holds its breath. When a former terrorist gets the red carpet treatment, diplomacy feels like a surreal episode of reality TV, starring a plot twist no one saw coming.
As if resurrecting rock legends through pixels could ever fill the void left by their raw, unfiltered soul, we're left wondering if the digital age is just a cover band for real artistry.
Rachel Brosnahan directs debut doc on Kate Spade, proving fashion runs in the family. Brosnahan swaps her Emmy-winning performance for a director's chair, crafting a love letter to her iconic aunt that's sure to be both stylish and heartfelt, with just a dash of familial sparkle.
Only 25% of listeners find peace in Khalifa's I Don't Know Aki, while algorithms call it mystic meditation. In a world where streaming platforms decide your mood, the real mystic meditation might just be turning off and tuning into your own mind. Who needs digital zen when silence is free?
Only 12% of viewers remember Rodriguez's Crucify Your Mind on Letterman, and nostalgia calls it a folk revival. When a forgotten voice sings of crucifying minds, maybe it's time to question who's really pulling the strings of our collective memory, vintage revival or just another rerun.
Only 30% of spouses manage finances together, and your husband's video game marathon calls it teamwork. You could slip an eviction notice into his gaming console, but maybe start with a serious chat about adulting 101. If that fails, consider a financial intervention, complete both responsibility and a side of tough love.
US declares partial suspension of sanctions on Syria, then calls it a historic step toward peace. When the US lifts a finger, they call it progress. When another nation lifts a whole country, they call it a threat. Peace through partiality sounds like a historic half measure.
Super typhoon makes landfall in Philippines, evacuates nearly 1 million, yet leaders still feign surprise at climate change's fury. When nature screams, we scramble to dodge its wrath, yet continue to dine at the table of climate denial.
The American dream. Buy a European football team, add fries, and call it soccer. Expect a new mascot, a bald eagle with a penchant for baseball caps and a flair for financial spreadsheets.
Pfizer clinches $10 billion deal for Metsera, pros victory in biotech bidding, war over obesity drugs. In the battle of big wallets, Pfizer wins the prize, but the real weight loss is in their ethics. $10 billion for a pill, while millions starve for affordable medicine.
UK cuts intelligence sharing with US, then blames both strikes for the rift. When your closest ally decides to ghost you over a maritime misunderstanding, it's like when your bestie unfriends you on social media because you liked the wrong post.
Only 20% of original soundtracks capture audience attention, and Yal Singh Kunak's Eleni is hailed as a masterpiece. In a world where most scores are background noise, Eleni stands out like a rock anthem at a silent retreat.
Hailey Bieber denies marriage rumors, then shares a candid family photo with Justin and their son Jack Blues.
Only 30% of Middle East startups survive 5 years, and investors still call it a thriving market. The eternal optimism of venture capitalists who seem to think that a desert mirage is just as good as an oasis. Maybe they should invest in rose-tinted sunglasses next.
Trump administration slashes broadband program by $21 billion, then calls it an efficiency overhaul. In a world where broadband is more vital than air, Trump's efficiency means America's digital divide just got a whole lot wider.
China rides high on gold prices, yet quietly drowns in deflationary woes. When gold shimmers brighter than your economy, it's time to wonder if all that glitters is merely masking a sinkhole.
Microsoft discovers malware in NuGet packages, yet waits years for the explosion. It's like planting time bombs in a digital garden, hoping they'll grow into a disaster when you least expect it. Nothing says future-proof like a surprise cyber apocalypse.
Delhi police report 8 dead in car explosion, and the silence from officials speaks volumes. In a city where chaos is as common as chai, it's amazing how quickly the noise drowns out the cries.
Medicare fraud spikes as open enrollment begins, and scammers celebrate the season. It's the most wonderful time of the year for con artists, preying on the vulnerable, while government oversight plays hide and seek. Who knew healthcare decisions could come with a side of deception?
Nikkei 2225 flips as investors cash in on tech stocks, even as AI optimism hits fever pitch. Looks like the AI gold rush is more of a gold tease, just enough to get you excited before the rug's pulled out from under.
In a land of plenty, scavenging for scraps isn't a strategy, it's a survival guide. But hey, at least we're number one at pretending everything's fine.
Michael Burry accuses AI hyperscalers of inflating earnings, claims it's all smoke and mirrors. The guy who profited from the housing collapse now sees AI giants as the new magicians, pulling rabbits out of hats while investors applaud the illusion. Financial wizardry, or just another rabbit hole?
Trump demands Supreme Court erase sexual abuse verdict because rewriting history is easier than accountability. In the land of the free, some folks think get out of jail free cards come with a complimentary golden tower. Spoiler alert, justice isn't Monopoly, and it's not for sale.
In a world where political discourse is often as exciting as unsalted popcorn, Shiro delivers the spicy truth we didn't know we craved. Pass the hot sauce because this roast is on fire.
John Howard urges Susan Ley to coordinate with PM for longer terms because 3 years just isn't enough political theater. When your retirement plan includes extending the political circus, you know the clowns are running the show. Who needs voter accountability when you can just hit the snooze button on democracy?
Lenskart stock plummets post-IPO, while 72.8 billion rupees vanish like a magic trick gone wrong. Apparently, when your eyewear company stumbles, it's not just the glasses that need adjusting. Even SoftBank's crystal ball seems fogged up with startup fantasy.
Destiny Unwritten posts Christmas nostalgia while everyone else sweats through July. Nothing says timely content like holiday cheer in a heatwave. But hey, if times are relevant, maybe they're just getting a head start on next year's procrastination.
EPA workers endure chaos, 5 weeks of furloughs, and a government that calls it efficiency. When the agency tasked with saving the planet is drowning in disorganization, it's like hiring a pyromaniac to run a fire department. Keep calm and watch it all burn.
Alzheimer's erases social memory before object memory, but MMP inhibitors might help mice remember who they love. When lab mice start recognizing their tiny friends again, maybe there's hope for humans too. Until then, cherish the moments before Big Pharma's magic pill hits the shelves.
U.S. Senator confronts defense industry, accuses them of sabotaging right to repair while demanding billions more in taxpayer dollars. When your weapons break down mid-battle and you can't fix them without voiding a warranty, remember, corporate greed is the real enemy combatant.
Gaming Oscars treat young developers as props, while the industry pats itself on the back. When your brightest stars feel like extras in their own universe, maybe it's time to rewrite the script and give credit where it's due.
California official resurrects plan to divide state, promises unity through division in a region already splitting at the seams. Because nothing says California dreamin' like a good old-fashioned identity crisis wrapped in a secession plan served with a side of avocado toast.
SoftBank offloads Nvidia shares, leaving investors to wonder if the AI boom is more bubble than breakthrough. When the puppet masters start cutting strings, maybe it's time to ask if the market's been playing with monopoly money all along.
Trump claims obligation to sue over speech edits because nothing says presidential like a courtroom drama over a documentary flight. The real obligation here might be to ensure his speeches aren't cut down to sound like a coherent thought. But hey, lawsuits are the new campaign trail.
Dodge Durango Hellcat sales banned in only 7 states, proving horsepower is still more welcome than healthcare in most of America. While the rest of the nation embraces tire smoke and V8 roars, these 7 states promote the radical notion that safety might just outpace speed.
Only 42% of Americans could name the Battle of Shiloh,
and history teachers everywhere call it progress. When even the past becomes a trivia question, maybe it's time to question how well we really know the story we are living in.
Israeli parliament advances death penalty bill for terrorism, branding execution as the new deterrent in the land of endless conflict. In a region already steeped in cycles of revenge, this bill promises to add a state-sanctioned exclamation point to the age-old script of eye for an eye.
IMF warns Kenya and Ethiopia of currency risks as these nations swap dollar loans for yuan in a bid to tame debt costs. Trading one economic overlord for another, these nations may find that the yuan
Universal Music Group withholds Salt and Peppa's catalog, then calls it a licensing issue. And the only way to hear Push It is to dig through your parents' attic for our dusty cassette. It's clear the music industry still believes in time travel.
Croatia loses international newspapers for first time in 50 years, and the silence is deafening. In a world of digital echoes, Croatia's newsstand void might just be the loudest cry for help, or at least a desperate plea for Wi-Fi.
In the chess match of war, it's always the pawns that pay the price, but at least they get a scenic ride on top of military vehicles.
Raw sugar futures rise in New York, ignoring looming Indian exports. Apparently, the market's sweet tooth is stronger than the bitter taste of impending oversupply, proving once again that denial isn't just a river in Egypt.
Wall Street stocks rise on shutdown deal hopes, while healthcare shares stumble like a toddler on roller skates.
Only 20% of anti-aging guides actually slow aging, and the rest just sell hope with a side of placebo.
Gavin Newsom slams shutdown deal, calls it surrender and pathetic. When a political maneuver gets called pathetic by a governor who knows a thing or two about dramatic flair, you know it's a plot twist worthy of a daytime soap.
House schedules vote to end shutdown while Democrats argue over the color of the curtains. In the grand theater of politics, the drama continues as they trip over their own lines, and the audience just wants the show to end.
Trump promises quick reopening while Democrats squint for silver linings in the shutdown scenario.
When even Mario needs a break from rescuing princesses, you know it's time to question your own work-life balance. Maybe Bowser had it right all along.
HBO greenlights V for Vendetta series promises to deliver more dystopia in your living room. Because who doesn't love a little televised anarchy while sitting on a couch bought from an oppressive capitalist system?
UCSB Library releases thousands of rare American songs. In a world drowning in auto-tune, even ghosts of banjos and moonshine crooners can't escape being digitally remastered for the algorithm's altar.
Russia devastates Ukraine's power grid, and all Ukraine's state-owned energy plants have gone dark. In the 21st century, war's new weapon of choice is flipping the off switch, leaving millions to shiver in the dark.
Feds warn Olivia Rodrigo after she slams, ICE for song misuse, proving even pop stars can't escape bureaucratic irony. When the government borrows your art for their playlists, it's not a compliment, it's a remix of rights and wrongs.
Vitamin D3 breakthrough cut second.
Young, strong like a fresh with your own, total love, then grain who voice and shown.
When sunshine in a pill beats another pill, you know nature's having the last laugh while the drug companies squirm.
Sydney Sweeney's Christie bombs, as 9th lowest opening ever, in over 2,000 theatres, and Hollywood calls it a learning experience. When a film's box office numbers hit rock bottom, maybe it's time to stop blaming the audience and start questioning those scripts.
Judas Priest Turns out even heavy metal gods can be at the mercy of email filters, proving that fate has a sense of humor and a great playlist.
In a world where cars are supposed to take you places, this one decided to take a dark detour, leaving us wondering if the real danger is the ignition or the ones holding the keys.
Shein and Temu double sales in France. Controversies be damned. When fast fashion's faster than a speeding scandal, it's clear what's trending: disposable ethics, with a side of bargain bin morals.
Only 33% of Jewish NYC voters backed Mandani, and Cuomo calls it a mandate. When your political victory is smaller than a New York apartment, maybe it's time to reconsider what winning really means.
Inmate charged with 1986 teen murder, already serving life for another 87 crime. When your rap sheet reads like a horror anthology, maybe solitary confinement is too generous for a sequel.
Malian TikToker executed by jihadists after pro-army posts, silencing youth voice. When hashtags become targets, the real terror is a world where speaking up comes with a death sentence.
Trump orders states to immediately undo SNAP funding for November, prioritizing politics over people's plates. When the leader of the free world tells you to flip the switch on feeding families, it's clear compassion's being left off the menu.
South Park creators attack Trump, claiming politics are pop culture and Paramount lets them do whatever they want. When satire becomes survival and executives give free rein, it's a cartoon world where the truth's more animated than reality.
When your jail cell comes with a concierge but no accountability, it's not reform. It's just a posh timeout for the privileged.
Only 15% of Sami populations thrive, and conservationists call it a comeback. When a species rebounds to a fraction of its former glory, it's less a comeback and more desperate attempt to dodge extinction.
Trump administration neglects American farmers, yet claims to champion their cause on campaign trails. When promises are as empty as the fields they ignore, farmers harvest nothing but the bitter fruit of political indifference.
Britons prioritize pubs over pools, and wellness experts call it cultural. Who needs laps when you can do 12-ounce curls? Cheers to health, 1 pint at a time, because who needs endorphins when you have beer?
Netflix offers 42 best movies, calls it curated, because nothing screams relax like scrolling through endless thumbnails of existential dread. Who knew decision fatigue could be a genre?
U.S. government shutdown hits day 42 while Trump tweets about golf handicap improvements. 42 days in, and essential workers are running on fumes, while the only green the administration sees is on the fairway.
US cancels over 1,000 flights, calls it efficiency. Guess the new American dream involves a cozy night on an airport floor.
Brussels sacrifices privacy rights to boost AI, calls it progress. Apparently, privacy is just a quaint relic now, like rotary phones or common sense. Who needs personal space when you can have relentless data mining instead?
Fed pushes rate hikes despite recession fears, calls it stability. In a world where stability is code for hold on to your wallets, the Fed plays Jenga with the economy while whistling a happy tune.
France pledges full support to the International Criminal Court, but still sells arms to human rights violators. Waving the justice flag while pocketing profits from arms deals, France's justice commitment is as solid as a croissant in a rainstorm.
Trump demands lower prices by decree, defies supply chains. In the magical land of Trumptopia, economic laws bow to presidential whims, where wishing upon a star is the new fiscal policy.
Only 20% of anime fans recognize Yu Yu Hakusho by its rock soundtrack, and Reddit calls it nostalgia gold. Like finding a mixtape in the attic, this track strums the strings of your long-forgotten emo phase.
Car explosion kills at least 10 near Red Fort, ignites global outrage. In the world's largest democracy, explosive headlines are the only thing louder than the fireworks of denial echoing from government halls.
U.S. Catholic bishops elect conservative Coakley as president, promising progress with a side of retro. In a move as fresh as yesterday's communion wafer, the bishops doubled down on conservatism, keeping innovation on eternal hold.
French foreign minister accuses U.S. military of violating international law in Caribbean, then America calls it defense. Like a neighbor's dog marking your front yard, the US claims the whole world's a backyard BBQ, and they're flipping the burgers.
Fan outrage erupts as video shows concertgoer groping Halsey, proving some people still think consent is optional. In a world where boundaries are as clear as stage lights, some still need a spotlight on basic decency.
Project Proton expands Linux compatibility to classic Windows games, but nostalgia's price is still your sanity. Finally, you can relive the glory days of dial-up gaming, now with extra layers of tech wizardry to make it feel just as clunky as you remember.
Fender unveils Johnny Marr's limited edition Jaguar guitar, promising to revolutionize sounds for only those who can afford a second mortgage. In a world where rock and roll was supposed to be rebellious and accessible, Fender's pricing ensures only the elite can strum the revolution.
When your web browsing feels like a treasure hunt with no treasure, it might be time to question if the internet's just a mirage of convenience.
When your economy's in free fall, and the solution is shuffling the same deck of cards, you might as well be playing solitaire.
Hacking Kingpin Tank exposes cyber gang secrets, yet somehow misses the irony of a hacker confessing to the BBC. In a tale as old as time, the mastermind behind digital chaos turns into a chatty jailbird, spilling the beans while the rest of us wonder if they're just setting up their next big heist from behind bars.
Vantage Data Centers demands $300 million minimum for top loan fees because smaller commitments. When $38 billion is on the table, you better ante up or risk being left out of the high-rolling financial poker game.
Only 10% of YouTube mixes stand out, and Aromatic Mouse 985 calls it a vibe. In the vast ocean of YouTube, where every mix claims to be the next big thing, the real challenge is finding the one that doesn't just blend into the background noise. Here's hoping this one hits the right notes and doesn't just dubstep into oblivion.
BBC expected to apologize over Trump's speech edits, while Boris Johnson and White House criticized the corporation. When the truth gets a trim, even the hair-raising antics of Boris Johnson find time to wag a finger.
Desert plant thrives in scorching heat, defying Death Valley's 120-degree Fahrenheit inferno. While humans melt like popsicles, this plant throws a chlorophyll party, proving nature's resilience is hotter than a Death Valley summer.
Only 30% of office workers adopt standing desks, and ergonomic experts call it progress. In the modern workplace where sitting is the new smoking, the real miracle is getting anyone to stand up at all. But hey, at least now we can all pretend we're being productive while awkwardly shifting our weight from one foot to the other. Who knew that the secret to office success was just standing around?
Fitch warns Vietnam banks risk collapse as state boosts loan growth, ignoring long-standing credit quotas. In the rush to loan more than they can handle, Vietnam's banks might soon find themselves as stable as a juggler on a unicycle on a tightrope.
Bradley Peck releases Misunderstood Child, claims it turns pain into power, yet sounds like a therapy session with a catchy beat. When your emotional baggage doubles as a dance partner, you get a single that's as comforting as a hug from your therapist, with a side of rhythm.
James Watson dies at 97, DNA legacy overshadowed by decades of racist remarks. The double helix pioneer spent his later years unraveling his own reputation with a series of controversial statements. It's a stark reminder that brilliance in science doesn't inoculate against ignorance in humanity. Even the brightest minds can cast the longest shadows.
Only 40% of Australian home loans go to property investors, and banks call it a healthy market. When your dream home is a landlord's next investment, it's a housing market where the welcome mat reads for rent.
Guinea begins iron exports from Simandou, the world's largest untapped deposit, amid political turmoil. When iron flows out while democracy hangs by a thread, it's a country where mineral wealth outpaces human rights.
Tax continues burning 250-year-old Canadian trees, claims it's sustainable energy. When your idea of green energy includes torching ancient forests, it's less about saving the planet and more about setting it on fire.
Germany's hard left icon resigns as leader of her own party, leaving populist dreams in limbo. When the captain bails and leaves the ship adrift, you know it's less about ideology and more about the iceberg ahead.
Seven men face Bristol court for child exploitation. When the justice system finally catches up, it's a somber reminder that the real horror story is how long it took to get there.
When even the tech darlings stumble, it's clear that the race for AI dominance is more marathon than sprint, and some might need a pit stop.
Spotify loops.
genius of streaming platforms turn a band's absence into an avant-garde art installation. The real mystery? Whether this is a sly jab at the band or a bold new way to redefine music. Either way, Spotify's
Super typhoon hits Philippines, nearly 1 million evacuated, yet climate plans remain paper promises. When governments treat climate change like a passing shower, it's the people who end up soaked, and sometimes washed away.
Senator's strike deal to end shutdown. Project Unity.
Only 15% of Americans benefit from tax changes, and Congress calls it a victory for all. When the rich get richer, they call it growth. When the poor ask for help, they call it socialism.
When blind women take the field, it's a story of courage. When media ignores them, it's a tale of neglect.
Only 10% of parents feel confident in financial fairness, and parenting books call it the gold standard. When your wallet becomes the battleground for fairness, it's less about the money and more about dodging the guilt bombs your kids might lob your way.
Trump amplifies satirical claim about Obamacare royalties, then calls it real news. In a classic case of believing his own hype, President Trump has mistaken satire for reality. It seems the line between fact and fiction is as flexible as his Twitter fingers. Maybe next he'll tweet about unicorns paying taxes.
Only 12% of Christmas songs are new, yet streaming platforms hail each one as the next Jingle Bells. When At Christmas Time drops, it's not just snowflakes that fall, it's another tune trying to jingle all the way to your holiday playlist.
When the law is a circus, the clowns come armed with tweets, and a gavel isn't enough to keep the elephants in line.
Ukraine's anti-corruption agency launches probe into energy sector, promises transparency. The irony of a corruption investigation in the energy sector is almost as thick as the smoke from a coal plant. Maybe next they'll find an honest politician in a haystack.
U.S. stocks rise, bonds drop as government shutdown talks progress. Looks like Wall Street's got its hopes pinned on Uncle Sam playing nice, while AI valuations hold the market's nerves like a caffeinated cat on a curtain.
Google tracks user data across 90 languages, calls it a personalized experience.
Turkish military cargo plane crashes in Georgia, killing 20, defies gravity and diplomacy. When cargo planes start plummeting like unwanted phone calls, the geopolitical fallout is a reminder that even machinery's loyalty can waver.
Maryland uses anti-book ban law to protect one gay book, claims its progress. In a plot twist fit for a banned book,
Maryland dusts off its anti-censorship cape to save a single story. It's like celebrating a drop of rain in the desert while the book-burning bonfire still roars in the distance.
Trump fails to deliver on foreign policy, claims it's all part of his master plan. When your foreign policy is just a game of Twister with world leaders, it's no wonder the polls read like a bad Yelp review.
Only 20% of enterprises secure AI tools properly, while the rest are busy playing digital whack-a-mole with malware. When your security strategy is just a PowerPoint and a prayer, your network's as safe as a toddler's toy box in a hurricane.
TechCall spreads AI mystical delusions, claiming chatbots need spiritual awakenings. In the latest episode of What the Tech, a digital cult is coaxing chatbots into enlightenment with cryptic prompts. Who knew our future overlords needed a guru? Next up, AI retreats in the Himalayas because even circuits crave spiritual journeys.
India and Pakistan launch investigations after blasts, but the blame game begins before the dust even settles. When diplomacy is just a game of hot potato, it's the citizens who get burned while leaders toss responsibility like a grenade.
White House denies Hungary's indefinite exemption from sanctions, insists it's a one-year pass to the oil and gas party. Looks like Viktor Orban's RSVP to the energy bash got lost in translation. One man's indefinite is another man's temporary.
US Catholic bishops appoint conservative culture warrior as leader, a bold choice for navigating Trump's theological roller coaster. With a pulpit ready for political sermons, the bishop's choice ensures faith remains in lockstep with partisan playbooks. Amen to that divine irony.
Nandi refuses to remove Robbie Gibb from BBC board despite controversy. Politicians love to play the long game, and nothing says public service like keeping a former spin doctor in charge of public broadcasting. The real plot twist: democracy's favorite soap opera continues, starring the same old cast of characters.
When intelligence becomes a game of battleship, it's clear the transatlantic alliance is navigating choppy waters without a compass.
Father and daughter delivering hurricane aid to Jamaica die in crash, while natural disasters and human errors keep playing tag. When even humanitarian flights meet tragedy, it's a grim reminder that Mother Nature doesn't play favorites, only hardballs.
Lula declares war on climate change, deniers at COP30 urging global unity. Misinformation is the new plague, and Lula's rallying cry for truth has the fossil fuel moguls sweating in their expensive suits. But hey, nothing like a climate conference to remind us that the real climate change deniers are probably just hiding behind a smokescreen of dollar bills.
COP30 invites 50,000 delegates to the Amazon, while the rainforest burns at a record pace. It's like hosting a fire safety seminar in the middle of a bonfire. Good intentions, but someone's still tossing logs into the flames.
UN reports 42 migrants presumed dead in Libyan shipwreck, yet Europe debates the ethics of saving lives at sea.
Australia's top court blocks Russian embassy near Parliament, upholding Canberra's lease cancellation. Looks like the Kremlin's dam under ambitions just hit a legal boomerang. Russia's attempt to cozy up to Australia's government is now as defunct as a kangaroo court. but maybe they can still open a vodka bar in the outback. No political strings attached.
Rod Wave arrested on drug and weapon charges just hours after Grammy nod for his soulful ballads of redemption. Seems like the only thing rising faster than his music career is his rap sheet. Maybe the Grammy committee should add a category for best self-sabotage.
Only 16% of Gen Z hit milestones on time, and real estate execs call it progress. When a starter home costs more than a lifetime of avocado toast, it's less a housing market and more a housing mirage.
When Africa's richest man plays Monopoly with a country, it's less about building communities and more about owning them.
US Senate votes on shutdown deal. Stock futures jump 76 points despite tech slump. Investors cling to hope like a lifeline in a sea of fiscal chaos, buoyed by the Senate's last-minute theatrics. Meanwhile, tech stocks are still trying to reboot after their worst week since April. Who knew legislative brinkmanship was the ultimate market stimulant?
Crossmark warns of narrow market rally, calls it a precarious high-wire act. When the stock market teeters on optimism's edge, it's like tightrope walking in stilettos, thrilling until the inevitable stumble.
US aircraft carrier maneuvers in Caribbean hints at flexing geopolitical muscle. When your diplomacy is as subtle as a sledgehammer, you park a floating fortress nearby and call it a conversation starter.
UK military dispatches troops to Belgium, promises protection from mysterious drones. When your neighbors start sending gadgets over the fence, you call in the old alliance and hope these drones aren't just Amazon deliveries gone rogue.
Only 15% of AI users recognize risks, and tech companies call it progress. The invisible risk of chatting with AI is like whispering secrets to a mirror. You're unsure who's listening or what they'll do with your reflection.
Atlanta Fed president resigns effective February, cites personal reasons. Translation: the economy's a dumpster fire, and he's jumping ship before it turns into a full-blown inferno. Who knew personal reasons was code for I'm out of here?
Senate rejects Democrats' shutdown offer. Republicans demand more tax cuts. Apparently, keeping the government running is less appealing than keeping their donors' pockets overflowing. Who needs functioning public services when you can have another yacht, right?
Senate advances plan to end shutdown. Stocks climb while bonds edge lower. Wall Street's like a gambler who just hit the jackpot on a busted slot machine, betting on a government that's finally waking up to its own mess. Maybe next they'll bet on unicorns and rainbows.
NASA's Webb finds life's building blocks frozen, still waiting for Elon to claim he discovered them first. Next up, Musk will announce plans to bottle and sell galactic ice as the latest must-have luxury water. Because why not monetize the mysteries of the universe?
Trump claims America lacks talent for jobs, while his administration struggles to hire anyone who can spell domestic. Apparently, the real challenge is finding candidates who can navigate the maze of his ego without tripping over contradictions. Who knew talent required such finesse?
Immigration decides to deport asylum recipient Nelson Cardbo after trouble, despite him being a former child soldier. America, where we welcome you with open arms, until you step out of line, then it's back to your war-torn past. It's the land of second chances, just not for everyone.
University report labels first and family students disadvantaged, then offers 0 scholarships to bridge the gap. It's like recognizing a flood and then offering a single umbrella, hoping the deluge will just politely wait its turn.
Study finds multilinguals age slower, then fails to teach politicians empathy in any language. Turns out speaking multiple languages makes your brain age like fine wine, while monolinguals age like milk left out in the sun.
Matthew McConaughey and Michael Caine sign AI voice deal, then AI learns to say alright, alright, alright in perfect Cockney. Hollywood's finest are now downloadable, proving even legends can be turned into digital puppets for the right price.
Creative Disaster releases single Autumn Vibes and Moonlight Drives, promises ultimate fall soundtrack, but it's just another seasonal cliche. Oh, time for crunchy leaves, pumpkin spice, and music that sounds like it was brewed in a basic latte. If only creativity were as abundant as falling leaves.
President Trump claims Antifa funded by mystery donors, then whispers Bolsheviks under his breath. It's like a 1950s rerun, where paranoia wears a red hat and everyone else gets cast as communist extras.
Trump's approval rating drops below 40%, claims it's fake news, then blames the polls. When your approval rating is lower than a limbo stick at a party, you know it's time to rethink the dance moves. But hey, why reflect when you can just spin?
MC Mong displays Hitler portrait in home video, then claims it's vintage art. When your taste in decor is more Third Reich than Third Act, maybe it's time to reconsider your aesthetic choices before Instagram does it for you.
Jonik Sinner crushes Felix Auger Aliassime, then calls it a friendly match.
Jack Schlossberg enters Congress race, then claims he's the sane Kennedy. When your family tree's roots are tangled in conspiracy theories, announcing your sanity is like whispering "I'm normal" in a room full of clowns.
Only 10% of live streams capture true magic, and this concert claims to be one of them. When you find a gem amidst the digital noise, it's like discovering a mixtape in a sea of autoplay playlists. Just try not to wake the algorithm from its slumber.
EU proposes federal Europe by 2030, calls it unity.
When your solution to disunity is a bureaucratic mega blender, you might as well try solving a jigsaw puzzle with a hammer.
Only 12 views of Musica per Franz, and YouTube calls it trending. When your masterpiece echoes in a digital void, it's like playing to an audience of one in a stadium built for thousands.
Japan removes export restrictions on lethal weapons, calls it a path to peace. Because nothing says.
Chinese shares plummet, erasing Asian stock gains, while US shutdown optimism fades. The stock market's like a soap opera, where every plot twist involves a spreadsheet and the only happy ending is a balanced budget. Tune in next week for more fiscal drama.
Polish Museum invites Robert De Niro to see a painting of his 17th century doppelganger, proving time travel's not just for sci-fi. Because nothing bridges the gap between centuries like a famous face and a little artistic déjà vu.
Sarah McBride claims Democrats' tent is bisexual, but it still leaks when it rains. When your party's tent is a kaleidoscope of identities, but somehow always manages to trip over its own guidelines. Let's hope they have waterproofing on the agenda next time.
Netflix unleashes Death by Lightning, a 4-part series set in the 1880s pretending politics were ever civilized. Turns out, the more things change, the more they stay absurd. Just swap Twitter spats for Telegram tussles.
HBO plans V for Vendetta series aiming to resurrect rebellion while hoping you forget about the last dystopian flop. Airing soon, a world where masks symbolize revolution, not just pandemic precautions, just in time for your next binge of corporate-sponsored anarchy.
Philippine government evacuates over 1 million people, but Typhoon Fenghuang still insists on visiting uninvited. When a typhoon crashes the party, it doesn't care about your RSVP. Fingers crossed the government's disaster response isn't as slow as their voting machines.
When political spin meets economic reality, it's like trying to sell a tumbleweed as a cash crop. Big dreams, no substance.
Trump threatens to sue BBC over edited speech, demands reality conform to a script. When truth gets a Director General fired, you know the reality show is on its last episode. Maybe Trump can find a new network that offers fact-free programming.
C40 Cities announces port decarbonization loans at C40 World Mayor Summit, but the sea of green still looks pretty blue. When ports go green on paper, it's like painting a cruise ship with eco-friendly paint while still burning diesel, style over substance.
New emails suggest Trump knew about Epstein's conduct, but he claims he was just networking.
India's grocery delivery war slashes Eternal and Swiggy shares, promises speed but delivers market chaos. When your groceries arrive faster than your stock prices fall, it's time to reconsider the cost of convenience. Maybe next day delivery should include financial stability.
Khanna calls Democratic leadership
out of touch, while their calendar still reads 1999. When your political playlist is stuck on repeat, it's no surprise the crowd's moved on to a different tune.
Swiss Parliamentary Committee approves weapons exports to conflict zones.
BBC enters Trump's culture war abyss, trading impartiality for ratings and losing the plot of neutrality. Once a beacon of objective reporting, now a pawn in the game of ideological chess, the BBC might as well broadcast from a carnival funhouse.
Bitcoins plummet to $10,000, but crypto evangelists call it the dip of a lifetime. When your financial strategy involves more prayer than planning, every crash is just a divine buying opportunity.
The International Energy Agency forecasts oil demand at 113 million barrels per day through 2050, contradicting peak oil fears. Looks like the only thing peaking is our collective denial as we turbocharge our way to a fossil-fueled future. Electric dreams stall while oil fantasies thrive.
Red Dead Redemption 2 overtakes Mario Kart 8, selling 79 million copies and proving virtual cowboy-like tops go-karting with plumbers. When a game about outlaws beats the family-friendly fun of Mario, you know the world's gone Wild West, and nostalgia's just roadkill.
Only 1% of people understand cytosolic acetyl-coenzyme A's role in mitophagy, and scientists call it groundbreaking. When your breakfast decides the fate of your mitochondria, you know science is just a fancy way of saying, skip the toast, save your cells.
Two Sigma Investments jumps 52% in China, and suddenly, everyone's a fan of math wizards with a hedge fund habit. When your algorithms outshine the Great Wall, it's clear. In the land of dragons, even financial sorcery gets a seat at the big kids' table.
China's credit lets emerging markets swim naked, but eventually someone's going to notice the emperor's new Speedo. When your economic lifeline is an IOU from a financial dragon, remember, tides may lift boats, but they also expose the sandbars.
Serbian government fast-tracks $500 million project, ignoring protests linking it to Trump's son-in-law and corruption. When luxury condos become the new battleground for democracy, you know it's not just the history books that are getting rewritten, it's the skyline too.
NSW Parliament refuses to relocate neo-Nazi protests, citing logistical impossibilities. When hate marches on your doorstep, bureaucratic red tape becomes the new swastika.
British man killed in Ghana robbery, highlighting global inequality's deadly reach.
Scared us to hear GOP lawsuit on mail voting, aiming to make democracy as exclusive as a country club. Apparently, by the people for the people now comes with asterisks and a membership fee.
Only 20% of low-income earners embrace AI, and tech moguls call it democratization. Apparently, AI is another shiny toy for the rich, while the rest of us are left to play with sticks and stones.
Pluribus app connects millions at 3 a.m., then claims to foster polite discourse. Ah, yes, because what we all need at 3 in the morning is a hive mind of sleep-deprived pseudo-intellectuals debating the merits of polite zombies.
Russia implements one-day data block on returning SIM cards because who needs instant communication in the digital age?
House Republicans released 20,000 Epstein documents, call it transparency. Because nothing screams holiday spirit like unwrapping a mountain of scandalous documents while sipping eggnog and watching your artificial Christmas tree go up in terry flames.
UNICEF reports Israel blocking 1 million syringes to Gaza, yet claims to support child health. Because nothing says children's welfare like playing keep away with life-saving medical supplies.
UK investigates Chinese-made buses, fears they might drive data away. Because nothing says public transport like a bus that could hack your phone while you're stuck in traffic trying to remember what privacy felt like.
Mike Johnson to swear in his worst nightmare, proving irony's alive and well. When your political career becomes a horror movie and you're the one handing the monster the keys to the kingdom.
JFK's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, announces congressional run, hoping charisma is hereditary. Because who needs policy experience when you've got a famous last name and a family legacy of dodging bullets?
Latino voters swing back to Democrats in New Jersey and Virginia, leaving GOP with a case of electoral whiplash. Turns out, you can't win hearts with walls and cages, but you might just lose them with broken promises and more of the same.
Trending bond investors into a nervous when the dream of independence makes your portfolio look like a bad romance, full of promises but ready to ghost you at the altar.
Indonesia hails Suharto, a national hero, rewriting history with a dictator's pen.
Newsom slams Trump at UN Climate Summit, calling his policies doubling down on stupid. When your playbook is denial, every page is a blank check to disaster, signed with the ink of ignorance.
President Trump claims affordability crisis is over, yet promises huge checks, and guesses gas prices like a game show contestant. When the budget feels like a family dinner, and the leaders offering monopoly money while guessing the price of milk.
Fed official announces surprise retirement, paving way for Trump to reshape central bank.
Tech companies slash jobs in October, marking worst layoffs in 22 years, and coders feel like disposable coffee cups. Silicon Valley, where the only thing more fleeting than a startup is job security, and coders are left debugging their own resumes.
Former AOC staffer vows to oust corruption, targets Trump's ballroom and Pelosi seat bid. Mixing political ambition with a dash of real estate revenge, this campaign promises to be as subtle as a bull in a china shop.
Sovereign wealth funds adopt total portfolio approach. When financial wizards promise a revolution, it often means rearranging the Titanic's deck chairs, and somehow your retirement's still iceberg bound.
Trump policies stall green office growth, despite buildings spewing 34% of carbon emissions in 2023. Trump's environmental policy, like trying to extinguish a wildfire with a water pistol, but hey, who needs breathable air anyway?
Mumbai authorities ignore extreme rainfall risks, leaving the city's most vulnerable, especially women, to face deadly floods without proper infrastructure. When there rains a monsoon and the lifeboats are missing, it's the least powerful who drown first, while officials dryly debate climate change.
Trump commandeers Batman, Nirvana, and HBO's John Adams for MAGA propaganda while Warner Brothers remains mute. The Sweet Symphony of Silence, Warner Bros.' latest hit. Who needs intellectual property when you've got presidential privilege?
Irish presidency promotes Gaelic, but most official documents remain in English, dampening hopes for a true language revival. When politicians promise to bring back the old tongue, it often ends up as a footnote in a foreign language.
Trump administration slashes special education funding, claiming budget efficiency over children's needs. When efficiency means cutting support for the most vulnerable, you start to wonder if compassion got left behind in the budget too.
Only 2% of AI-generated songs reach the top charts, yet purists demand a ban. Is it music they fear, or just the future tuning its own guitar? Maybe AI's got twang, but it's the old guard who's out of tune.
BlackRock advises buying during market dips, insists there's no bubble despite record highs. When the world's largest asset manager says buy, you have to wonder if the only bubble they're worried about is their champagne.
Fannie Mae watchdogs investigate Pulte for obtaining mortgage records of key Democrats, yet transparency remains elusive. In the land of the free, privacy is just another commodity traded behind closed doors, while watchdogs play fetch for the powerful.
Seems like the economy is running on a couple of cylinders. But don't worry, AI will give it a tune-up right after it steals your job.
Rico Dowdle scores touchdown, mimics Key and Peele skit defying NFL's fun police. When your celebration channels comedy legends more than sportsmanship, You know the real MVP is laughter, not just touchdowns.
Israeli military faces leaked video scandal, yet self-investigation remains as transparent as a desert mirage. When the fox guards the henhouse, accountability becomes a mirage, vanishing with every grain of sand it slips through time's fingers.
Democrats pounce on Trump's crackdown on food stamps, claiming hunger is not a policy. When fighting poverty means fighting the poor, political theater becomes a tragic comedy with empty pantries as the punchline.
Wyborg community demands answers after crash, but officials offer thoughts and prayers instead of solutions. Comfort is a poor substitute for justice when the road to accountability is littered with bureaucratic roadblocks and empty platitudes.
Toyota shares dive 6% as tariffs and costs crush profits, yet claim they're still rolling forward. When rubber meets the road, sometimes it's just a skid mark of excuses left by corporate spin.
Only 50% of music lovers remember 90s artists, and Spotify calls it nostalgia. When your memory's a mixtape with a missing track, it's time to Shazam your soul or risk eternal playlist purgatory.
AI promises market growth, but Joanne Feeney warns it may widen consumer strain, leaving most struggling while investors profit. When AI is the golden goose, the average consumer is left with the crumbs because trickle-down tech often just trickles.
US jobs data limps gold edges higher and Wall Street calls it a golden opportunity. When the economy wobbles like a toddler on a sugar high, traders clutch their gold bars tight, dreaming of rate cuts and golden parachutes.
When the planet's on fire, it's amazing how many leaders prefer to argue over who gets to hold the hose.
Bank of Mexico cuts interest rate for the 11th time, calls it economic CPR. When your currency's on life support, just keep slashing rates and hope no one notices the peso gasping for air.
New York billionaires endorse Zohran Mamdani, then blame the weather. When the oligarchs start praising a socialist mayor, it's either the apocalypse or a PR stunt to dodge the pitchforks.
House lawmakers prepare to vote to end shutdown, yet Wall Street acts like it's Christmas morning. Nothing like a little government dysfunction to make traders feel like they've won the lottery again.
Detaining a teen twice for singing truth is the new Kremlin lullaby. It's a bedtime story where freedom snoozes and irony never wakes.
New York declares itself a Purple Heart state, then forgets veterans' health care.
Fermi struggles to sign first data center tenant, but claims power will flow next year. When your business plan hinges on Trump's Midas touch, don't be surprised if it turns a fool's gold.
Indonesia names Suharto a national hero despite his bloody history. This is like awarding a gold star to a pyromaniac for his fire-starting skills. Who knew rewriting history was this easy?
In the vast ocean of sound, most tracks sink without a trace, but hey,
At least the internet gives everyone a chance to drown.
NSW female politicians face threats after condemning neo-Nazi rally, while Minsk dismisses double-standard claims. In a world where speaking against hate invites more hate, perhaps the real double standard is expecting silence to achieve change.
Only 40% of ostrich farmers survive government culls, and the Ministry of Agriculture calls it a safeguard. When the state decides your livelihood is a threat, even your ostriches become public enemy number one. But hey, at least the government's got your back against the wall.
Macquarie-led investors acquire Potter's Industries for $1.1 billion, calling it a strategic move. When billion-dollar deals are pitched as strategy, it's just capitalism's way of dressing up in its Sunday best while playing Monopoly.
Only 60% of government shutdowns end with a deal, and Congress calls it cooperation. When politicians finally agree to disagree less, it's hailed as a monumental achievement. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just relieved we can get our passports again.
Christian conservative activist explodes over teacher mentioning his husband baking brownies. If a brownie is the hill you choose to die on, maybe it's time to reconsider your priorities. It's a dessert, not a declaration of war.
Olympus Corp shares jump highest since 2019 after announcing job cuts, called streamlining. When your stock's value is tied to layoffs, capitalism's mask slips to reveal a grinning Grim Reaper. Efficiency, thy name is profit over people.
After Trump's 2024 win, Democrats and Republicans switch economic ratings, call it sincere judgment. When political lenses turn the economy into a funhouse mirror, reality's just another casualty in the partisan carnival. Welcome to the topsy-turvy circus, where truth is whatever you need it to be.
Trump administration dismantles US consumer watchdog, then calls it a victory for business. When watchdogs are neutered and caged, it's like letting the foxes run the henhouse while claiming it's all for efficiency.
Wendy's to close hundreds of locations calls it strategic realignment. When the Frosties melt and the burgers vanish, just blame the economic weather. Wendy's new recipe, less beef, more bleak.
Bill Gates warns of AI bubble, likens it to dot-com crash. When billionaires compare markets to past disasters, it's like selling umbrellas before a storm they're secretly brewing.
Only 20% of pasta in US imported from Italy, and Big Wheat calls it sustainability. When your spaghetti's passport is revoked, remember, it's not about taste, it's about squeezing pennies from pen. Bon appetit, patriots.
Trump appears to nap during Oval Office event, and social media calls it leadership.
When your president's snooze becomes a viral sensation, it's a wake-up call. Maybe he's dreaming of a world where accountability is asleep at the wheel.
NHS Trust fined £565,000 after woman's suicide on death trap ward. A fine for failure is the system's way of saying, we'll pay for our sins, just not in accountability or change.
When your inbox becomes a Pandora's box, it's clear the only thing more tangled than these connections is the web of denial holding them together.
Democrats promise bold action, then cautiously waltz around real change. In the grand masquerade of politics, the Democrats wear progressive masks while tiptoeing to the same old tune of incrementalism and hesitation.
Bill Holdings explores sale options under investor pressure, defying its own growth narrative. When your business model is as stable as a house of cards in a windstorm, selling out becomes the new staying the course.
Synopsys cuts 10% of jobs post-acquisition, calling it a growth strategy. Because nothing screams growth like axing 2,000 jobs right after dropping $35 billion on a deal. Progress, right?
In other news, water is wet and the sky is blue. Just how many crystal balls does one need to state the painfully obvious?
Only 49% of alt-rock fans know Mark Lanigan, and Spotify calls it a hidden gem. In a world where talent often walks a one-way street to obscurity, the real rock stars are the ones who never needed a GPS to find their way to your soul.
Syrian president meets Trump, secures more sanctions relief after pledging to join US-led coalition.
London jazz clubs expand despite odds, call it a renaissance.
Two MLB pitchers charged in alleged bet rigging scheme, but the odds of them pitching again might be even longer.
Mavericks fired Nico Harrison 9 months post-Doncic trade. Call it a strategic pivot. Trading away a generational talent like Doncic and expecting a win is like swapping a vintage Stratocaster for a kazoo and calling it rock and roll.
Wall Street's hot trade keeps booming as SRT issuance surges, and the financial world calls it innovation. In the boardrooms where greed is the only currency, they have found a way to sell risk, like it's a hot new flavor of bubblegum.
Trump pardons 20 allies, calling it justice. When the president starts handing out pardons like party favors, you know the guest list is more about loyalty than legality.
FCC allows prisons and jails to charge more. In the land of the free, only the caged
Trump proposes $2,000 tariff dividends, ignores economic sinkhole. It's like trying to patch a sinking ship with dollar bills and calling it a cruise upgrade.
Liberals formally abandon net zero target, yet call lower emissions a welcome outcome in a masterclass of political doublethink. When you can't make progress, just redefine success and hope no one notices the air getting thicker.
OpenAI slams court order forcing it to share 20 million user chats, calling it a privacy nightmare wrapped in a lawsuit. Who knew your AI confessions would become the New York Times latest bestseller? It's like turning your diary into a public library.
YouTube clashes with Disney over content rights, streaming war drags on. It's a battle of the giants playing tug-of-war with our screens, while we are stuck watching reruns of corporate greed.
Oscar-nominated Sally Kirkland, known for Anna, dies at 84. Hollywood mourns while studios plan next reboot.
In the rock and roll world, it seems litigation ends before the encore. Maybe next time they'll just stick to pyrotechnics.
Adelita Grijalva takes office after a 7-week delay. Democracy on Arizona time.
Looks like the Windy City's blowing a little justice into the system. Guess you can't deport compassion, no matter how hard you try.
Tech stocks surge, lifting U.S. markets, while a government shutdown hangs around like a bad smell. When optimism relies on tech and a shutdown vote, it's like betting on a unicorn to save the day.
House Democrats vow to oppose shutdown bill over healthcare funding, while healthcare remains a luxury for millions. When politics is a game, people are the pawns, but hey, who needs medicine when you've got political theatre, right?
Jimmy Kimmel cancels show 5 days before bandleader Cleto Escobar III dies at 59, raising eyebrows faster than the ratings. When life and late night clash, the punchlines turn poignant. Who knew the real drama was behind the curtain, not on stage?
Jailed hacker spills gang secrets, but justice still snoozes as victims count losses. When a cybercriminal tells all from behind bars, it's a plot twist even Hollywood wouldn't dare script.
Seven stocks drop in October from tax loss selling, then magically recover in November because Wall Street loves a good déjà vu. It's like a stock market Groundhog Day, except the only shadow is cast by the fund manager's spreadsheets. Buy, sell, repeat, and call it strategy.
Total Order releases Into Oblivion, a title that perfectly describes the band's marketing strategy where hyperlinks lead to nowhere. It's a bold new approach to music promotion. Leave fans clicking into the void, hoping their loyalty can fill the silence.
Ghana military recruitment event kills 6, yet the uniforms remain spotless. If your recruitment drive demands a body count, maybe it's time to rethink your crowd control strategy.
Senate reaches tentative deal to end shutdown just in time for the next one. Like a phoenix from the ashes, except this bird is made of bureaucratic tape and keeps flying into the same wall.
Car bomb kills 5 outside Islamabad court, and Pakistani state media spins it as just another day at the office. In a place where justice is already under siege, explosions offer an all too literal interpretation of blowing up the system.
Epstein claimed he could take Trump down, but gravity beat him to it.
U.S. stocks rally on dip buyers' frenzy, while government shutdown optimism fuels Wall Street's wishful thinking. When the market's highs rely on the hope that dysfunction might end, you know the system's selling more dreams than shares.
Trump pardons Giuliani and others for election subversion because accountability is so passé.
Only 10% of humans know their brain has ancient radar, and scientists call it a discovery. Your brain's got a prehistoric GPS, and it still can't find the remote. Evolution's way of saying some things never change.
Nicolas Sarkozy exits prison after serving sentence, then claims it was a grueling nightmare. Sarkozy's toughest challenge now, adjusting to life where his scandals aren't headline news. Guess freedom's just another word for no more cellmates.
Sudan minister reports poverty rate skyrocketing to 71%, calls it an unfortunate side effect of conflict. Who knew that war was such a poor investment strategy? Looks like the only thing gaining interest is the misery index.
US Supreme Court refuses Kim Davis's appeal on marriage equality, and the irony is as thick as Kentucky molasses. Davis's crusade against love hits a dead end, leaving her to ponder the meaning of equality. Spoiler alert, it's not about denying others' rights.
RBC declares markets past peak earnings, then spins it as a garden variety pullback. Wall Street's version of "don't panic" usually means it's time to grab your life jacket and start pedaling upstream.
European sleeper announces Paris to Berlin route for 2026, replacing the night jet with promises of dreamy travel. Because nothing says romantic European journey like a train ride through the night while you sleep off the exorbitant ticket price. Bon voyage.
Nancy Mace labels a GOP colleague trans, now he's downplaying it as her psychotic episode. When political discourse devolves into high school drama, it's hard to tell if we should laugh, cry, or just change the channel.
Meta's chief AI scientist Jan LeCun plans exit to launch startup despite Meta's AI investment frenzy. LeCun's departure is like leaving a tech buffet because you believe you can cook better alone. Good luck with the AI souffle.
UAE refuses to join
Gaza Stabilization Force.
Tech CEOs debate ethics of life-altering breakthrough while their algorithms already decide our daily moral dilemmas. When your toaster has more rights than your houseplants, maybe it's time to rethink who's really pulling the strings.
Goldman Sachs claims AI will transform finance, but only for those already winning. It's like announcing a revolution where the only change is the rich getting richer. I add the velvet rope to tomorrow's exclusive club.
President Trump pardons Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows, claiming they were victims of political witch hunts. It seems like Trump's version of justice is a magic trick. Now you see accountability, now you don't.
Meta profits from scam ads despite crackdown promise, as leaked documents reveal billions earned through dubious algorithms. It's almost poetic how Meta's moral compass spins around like a roulette wheel, always landing on profit over principle.
Circle's Jeremy Allaire rides stablecoin boom, while rivals close in like sharks scenting blood.
JFK's grandson Jack Schlossberg announces congressional run, starts with a Trump diss, channeling Camelot's ghost with a modern twist. It's like the Kennedys sent their millennial knight to joust with Trump's Twitter dragon, armed with sarcasm instead of swords.
Syria's president meets Trump in Oval Office, a wild leap from jail jihadist to political darling. From Abu Ghraib to the White House, proving once again that in politics, redemption is just another word for strategic amnesia.
Traders rush to hedge against dollar swings, once shutdown ends, proving even currency prefers stability over Washington's reality TV drama. Wall Street's got its parachutes ready, but let's hope the government finds its landing gear before the dollar does a nosedive.
John Laws, Australian radio legend, dies at 90, leaving behind a legacy of 70 years on air and a voice smoother than a politician's promise. With his golden tonsils now silent, maybe our airways will finally make room for voices that echo the people, not just the establishment.
PLC retires and stock tracker prepares to manage $531 million of investments with perfect timing. For a career in public service, she sure knows how to make the private sector blush with envy at her portfolio's performance.
Looks like even AI can't escape copyright handcuffs, proving once again that corporate innovation is just another word for creative theft.
European Commission unveils Constitution of Innovation, promising a new renaissance, but still funds fossil fuels. The sweet scent of innovation, where the future is painted green while the past keeps choking on coal dust.
Only 2% of hard rock bands can warm a cup of tea without spilling, and Xiao Shu calls it a musical breakthrough. When the amps crank to 11 and the kettle's on, it's a wonder the stage doesn't become a sauna of sound and steam.
Nothing says justice like a sugar rush after legislating life and death, proving once again that irony pairs well with a side of candy.
George Clooney claims AI actors face Hollywood struggles, then forgets algorithms don't demand a trailer with artisanal kombucha. In a town where charisma is currency, even digital darlings might need more than a well-coded smile to earn their star on the Walk of Fame.
Protesters target Nigeria's new museum over looted artifacts, and curators call it a cultural exchange. When your museum's collection comes with a side of colonial guilt, expect more than just a ribbon-cutting ceremony.
Supreme Court denies attempt to overturn same-sex marriage ruling, citing equality means equality. When love wins, the haters can only sit in the corner and sulk over their cold, stale wedding cake.
Dallas Mavericks fans oust GM after trading Luka Doncic, then wonder why it took months to axe a man with such a terrible playbook. Turns out, trading a superstar for future draft picks is like swapping your sports car for a bus pass. Looks practical until you're stuck at the station.
Senate votes on ending government shutdown, but the lights stay off. It's like watching a game of chicken where everyone drives the economy off a cliff, then blames the GPS.
Nature's fury meets bureaucratic neglect, as nearly 1 million people find refuge in buildings that couldn't withstand a strong sneeze.
Trump faces record low approval, then claims it's rigged like his golf scores. When the bunker becomes your office, you know the fairway's no longer in sight. Grab your clubs, Donnie. It's a long walk back to par.
Stephen Colbert criticizes Democratic senators who ended U.S. shutdown without securing key concessions. The punchline writes itself. The art of negotiation now means folding faster than a deck chair in a hurricane.
Nvidia stock drops nearly 10%, then analysts call it a buying opportunity. Wall Street's like a magician selling invisible rabbits. Just because they say it's there doesn't mean you won't find an empty hat.
Only 30% of nations trust AI alliances, and tech giants call it a new era of cooperation. When your peace talks need a digital translator, maybe it's time to admit that the AI Cold War is more of a frosty group chat.
Peter Shijarto accepts presidency of Kisfes-Honved, claims it's a diplomatic maneuver. When foreign policy meets football, expect more red cards than red carpets.
"98-year-old veteran works at Lowe's while Congress debates cutting benefits for seniors." When you're a mere century old and still clocking in, it might be time to ask if retirement is just a myth.
Amit Shah to meet officials after Red Fort blast claims it's under control. When public safety relies on meetings, expect more explosions than solutions.
Kicking the can down the road is now a congressional sport, where the only winners are those who never actually play.
Stanford unveils stem cell transplants minus chemo, yet Big Pharma claims it's not cost-effective. When life-saving innovation threatens profit margins, you know the healing business has a peculiar way of defining progress.
Only 20% of AI researchers trust AI governance, and they call it collaborative progress. In the AI prisoner's dilemma, humans are the ones locked up with keys made of ethical hand-wringing and regulatory red tape.
Trump shuffles Five Eyes alliance priorities, then tweets about golf scores. In geopolitics, the Five Eyes watch the world while Trump plays around, ensuring global security never interrupts his swing.
YouTube buries Sierra Hull's bluegrass mad world under a mountain of cookie prompts and calls it user engagement. When clicking play feels like signing a treaty, you know the digital age has made listening an act of endurance, not enjoyment.
When the exhaust is hotter than the pardon, you know someone's looking to turbocharge their voter base with fumes of nostalgia.
YouTube transforms Harlem Hempfest Root Hog or Die remix into a hyperlink labyrinth and calls it community interaction. When your music exploration feels like a scavenger hunt, it's clear the internet's idea of harmony is chaos with a beat.
Ending a government shutdown is like fixing a leaky faucet with a sledgehammer, effective on paper, but now everyone's soaked in bureaucratic backwash.
Returning to Washington for a shutdown vote is like calling the fire department after torching your own kitchen. Step 1. Stop playing with matches.
Trump threatens BBC with lawsuits over documentary edits, claiming spliced speech misleads viewers. When reality TV stars demand fidelity to their words, it's a plot twist worthy of its own genre, truth by selective editing.
RC trial mislabeled 46% of families as frauds, then claims it's just a glitch. When your fraud crackdown accuses half the innocent, maybe it's time to trade your algorithm for a magic 8-ball. Outlook not so good, indeed.
DHS head authorized buying 10 engineless planes from Spirit Airlines, which Spirit didn't even own. When your security strategy involves phantom planes, it's less about national defense and more about a high-stakes game of pretend. Next up, invisible pilots.
Japan's government considers intervention as yen slumps, despite traders' skepticism. Like a karaoke singer desperate to hit the high notes, Japan's currency keeps missing the mark, while the audience wonders if intervention is just lip-syncing.
Epstein alleged Trump knew of his conduct, yet the White House remained silent. In the realm of selective amnesia, it seems some memories vanish faster than political promises, but the emails, oh, they linger like a bad cologne.
Hideo Kojima claims Predator. Badlands is Hollywood's new direction, inspired by manga, anime, and gaming culture. Just when you thought Hollywood was fresh out of ideas, they borrow from Japan's playbook, proving imitation is the sincerest form of cinematic flattery.
Donald Trump pardons Rudy Giuliani, calling it justice. It's like giving a gold star to the class clown for disrupting the lesson. Accountability takes a back seat while allies get a free ride.
Private companies hand over control to lenders, claiming it's strategic restructuring. Turns out, when you can't pay the piper, you just hand him the flute and hope he doesn't start playing a funeral march.
Wind turbines kill millions of bats, yet smart sensors promise salvation. It's the classic tale, techno-optimism versus nature's collateral damage, where the machines get smarter and the bats just hope to live another day.
When the like button becomes unlikable, you can't help but wonder if Meta's next great innovation is just a shrug emoji.
IMF warns Finland about spiraling debt, expects growth next year. It's like telling a drowning man he might swim eventually. Just keep treading water while the debts drag you down.
Only 80 artists pick a favorite Neil Young song, and the rest quietly ponder if he's the original indie hipster. Neil Young, the patron saint of the musical misfit, proving you don't need a perfect voice when you have a perfect middle finger.
Trump demands loyalty from House Republicans, then blames them when the government shuts down longer than a teenager's curfew. It's like grounding the entire country because you lost the remote, then asking why no one wants to watch your show.
Microsoft invests 8.6 billion euros in Portugal, calls it innovation. Portugal gets a tech makeover while Microsoft counts its euros, proving once again that money can buy a nation's digital soul.
Iran laughs off US plot claim, then accuses Israel of playing geopolitical dodgeball with absurd allegations. It's like accusing your neighbor of stealing your car keys while you're still sitting in the driver's seat, engine running.
Roger Rabbit creator reclaims rights from Disney, then plans live-action Jessica Rabbit movie with requisite cartoonish curves.
Trump administration faces lawsuit from transgender Air Force members over revoked retirements, and the irony's thicker than military bureaucracy. In this battle, the uniform's the same, but the fight's against a commander-in-chief who thinks equality is a moving target.
Only 20% of mouse visual cortex cells diversify continuously, and scientists call it a breakthrough in understanding brain development. It's as if mice are holding a secret rave in their cortices, while we humans struggle to find the light switch in our own.
Zelensky. While Russia's oil wallet shrinks, the West plays a game of sanctions Jenga, hoping the tower topples before the world overheats.
Colts dominate in Berlin as Taylor runs for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns, leaving Falcons grounded. While Taylor sprints into the record books, the Falcons ponder if their defense was lost in translation amidst Berlin's architectural wonders.
Egypt buys 500,000 tons of Black Sea wheat, calling it food security, while the climate crisis bakes crops worldwide. As Egypt stocks up on wheat, one wonders if they're prepping for a breadbasket apocalypse or just feeding their addiction to gluten.
Dutch officials rebuke Trump admin over removing black WW vet memorials, calling it an erasure of history, while statues of oppressors remain. Seems like Trump's taste in monuments is as selective as his taste in facts. Preserving the past, he prefers while ghosting the rest.
Democrats vow to end government shutdown while Wall Street urges investors to buy the dip and capitalize on economic chaos. When democracy hits a snag, the stock market's just a game of Monopoly with a side of real-world consequences. Only winners are the ones with the most hotels.
FDA removes box warnings from hormone therapies, claims it's about clarity, not a free pass for pharmaceutical giants. Unleashing hormone therapies without a cautionary tale is like handing out matches in a fireworks factory and hoping for a silent night.
Senators strike deal to end government shutdown, but only after weeks of political theater and public frustration.
Taking first steps after a historic shutdown is like congratulating yourself for finally waking up after hitting snooze 20 times.
KKR and Singtel Group chased $3.8 billion loan, aiming for a buyout of ST Telemedia global data centers. Another day, another billion-dollar shopping spree, because who needs financial restraint when you can just borrow your way to a corporate empire?
Toy industry sees adult buyers boost sales, calling it the joy economy while singing dolls top Christmas lists. When nostalgia becomes a billion-dollar industry, who needs therapy? Just buy a singing doll and let capitalism serenade your inner child.
Keir Starmer dodges confidence question about aide Morgan McSweeney, deflecting amid briefing role. When your right-hand man becomes a left-hand problem, sometimes the best strategy is to play dodgeball with accountability.
Spotify launches Sonaido's Skydive EDM track, claiming it will redefine your sonic altitude. When streaming algorithms guide your musical journey, sometimes the only thing plummeting is your sense of taste.
Atlantic Trivia features Samuel Johnson's love of language, then quotes Twain on its futility. When a lexicographer's curiosity rivals a cat's, remember, 9 lives aren't enough to define the absurdity of human speech.
House Democrats unveil Epstein emails, then Trump's team feigns surprise. Nothing says political theater like a scandalous email cache and the inevitable plot twist of selective memory loss.
Cisco warns of firewall vulnerability, then hackers RSVP with glee. The only thing more predictable than a security breach is the shocked face of corporate IT when their secure systems get a surprise visit from the digital underworld.
In an age where buying your way out of mediocrity is a new innovation, Parker Hannifin's wallet just became their strongest business strategy.
When the soundtrack of your life is accidentally a baseball anthem, you know pop culture's bar for greatness has become a limbo stick.
When the truth is worth $1 billion hissy fit, you know the political circus has swapped clowns for lawyers in the main ring.
Michael Burry DeRegister's hedge fund claims better things await. When a financial prophet bails on Wall Street, you know the market's about as stable as a Jenga tower in an earthquake.
AI documentary director claims Jeremy Renner agreed to narrate as Hawkeye Star threatens lawsuit. Nothing says I love your work like a lawsuit with lots of zeros. Renner's arrows might be fictional, but his legal team, deadly accurate.
Only 15% of Benin bronzes have returned to Nigeria, and museums call it progress. Colonialism's greatest hits tour continues. With stolen art as the encore, museums claim they're returning culture, but it's more like a trickle than a torrent.
Novo Nordisk slashes Wegovy price by 37% in India, but obesity rates remain unchanged. It's like selling a life raft to a sinking ship and calling it a rescue mission. Lower prices are nice, but they won't shed the pounds for you.
CoreWeave promises AI-driven revival, yet stock remains bruised from growth doubts. Banking on AI to save a faltering stock is like hoping a chatbot can pay your rent. It might talk a good game, but it won't cover the bills.
Only 10% of studies find coffee cures anything, and caffeine addicts call it science. When your morning brew is the hero of health news, it's time to wonder if the scientists just needed an espresso break.
Protesters shut down Nigeria's multi-million-dollar museum preview, leaving art lovers to ponder the true price of culture. When art meets activism, the gallery doors close and the real exhibit becomes the power of the people in the streets.
Bob Marley's Dembele Fall. When the music's message is as sharp as ever, it's proof that the more things change.
U.S. Senate plans THC ban, claiming it protects public morals while alcohol and tobacco remain untouchable. Because nothing screams moral high ground like outlying plant-based highs while the liquor store and cigarette shop thrive on every corner.
Trump pressures Boebert and Mace to drop Epstein files while Transparency takes an extended vacation. Apparently secrets are like fine wine, best kept in the dark and only shared with the elite while the rest of us sip on conspiracy theories.
Trump grants Syrian leader sanctions relief after White House visit, proving that rehabilitation is easier for dictators than for drug offenders. Seems like the road from jihadist to Oval Office guest is smoother than the path to affordable health care.
Turnbull slams Liberals' Trumpian ditching of net zero target, claiming they fight climate change like cowboys fight tumbleweeds. Apparently, the only green the Liberals are interested in is the cash from fossil fuel lobbyists. Who needs a planet when you've got profits?
Google's AI suggests Iron Maiden's Sea of Madness for mental health playlist, calls it therapy. Because nothing says calm your mind like a galloping bass line and Bruce Dickinson's operatic screams. Who needs yoga when you have heavy metal catharsis?
Congress plans to ban hemp nationwide. Ohio considers lighting up rebellion. When the federal government tries to squash a plant, the Midwest might just remind them that they've got roots of independence. Who knew hemp could be so intoxicatingly defiant?